introduce you to our casters for the event. It is Monster D-Face and Jacob PR.
That's right. Thank you so much, Zeke. We do have the pleasure, the honor of calling all the action this weekend, and my gosh, the energy is already starting to, you really feel it.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And for myself, man, watching you cast the World Cup, now being here with you, this is a dream come true. And then getting to cast this global competition, insane.
Right. And that is what we have in store for us, of course, is an amazing competition. What a special moment, not only for the competitors, but all of you who get to tune in here and watch this return to an in-person event. It couldn't be better, and already you see the content, like the real interview pieces where we get to read the players, read the room.
Yep.
There's a lot of contested, there's a lot of fights that are going to play out.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, and it said it kind of before earlier today, speaking in the back, that these players, they're really good friends. They like to sit in the same Discord, they talk, they play Fortnite together all the time. But when that battle bus starts, Monster, they're no longer friends.
Are you ready to meet the stars of this show? It's time to meet the players! Epic whale and read everyone. Domination is the key word here. With multiple FNCS championships under their belt, the Grand Royale win, the World Cup experience, this team could take it all.
Give it up for Fabs and Snacky as three-time FNCS champions of the NA West region. This duo is here, and they are not playing around.
Welcome to PXN and Quintos, coming in all the way from the Brazilian region with a total of 5 shared FNCS titles. They are now ready to prove to themselves and the world.
Put your hands together for Janice and Badil, champions of Fortnite Champion Series Chapter 3, Season 3 Europe. They are the German powerhouses.
Queasy and Vino Bolts mixing it up with the FNCS champion of Chapter 3, Season 1 and Season 2. These guys are not to be messed around with. Watch out.
This is Rapid and Andalex, a duo forward specifically for this event. French powerhouse paired together with a Middle Eastern player. This one is going to be interesting.
Let's put your hands together for Basil and Jade, the champions of FNCS Chapter 3 Season 1 OCE. This is their moment to prove what they can do.
Stand up and get loud for Pink and Anaz from top-tier performances in several tournaments, including the latest third-party event. Now they are here in Raleigh to do it again.
If you say Poland, I say Cami and Seti. The absolutely dominating duo. They are ready to compete for the FNCS Invitational title and become legends.
Let's hear it for Aqua and Reason, a duo World Cup teaming up with an iconic and highly competitive German juggernaut. This can only go well.
I cannot believe with just 10 players coming out, the Raleigh Convention Center are absolutely losing their minds. I hope you guys have enough in the tank until we got another 40 duos, so please don't pass out. That was just the first 10. What are thoughts?
We're stacked. We are stacked. I haven't even seen the rest of the part. We're stacked. We're stacked, right? Snacky and Faz being one of those dominant duos being showcased right there in one of our first 10 to present. Listen, they're on a hot streak right now. Coming out of the NA West region, back-to-back FNCS wins in Season 1 and Season 2 of this chapter, followed by a third place as well.
But you can't forget about Pink and Anas either. This European powerhouse, I think, is going to be absolutely one to keep an eye out for. And I'm really excited to see them clash out over in Fort Jonesy with Clicks and Dukes.
And of course, he's got the pink hair too, so he's easy to recognize.
Easy to recognize. Now that was just the 10. Let's welcome the next 10.
Give it up for iDrop and Mr. Savage, a true Fortnite OG teaming up with his highly competitive Norwegian teammate. This is not a drill, everyone. Let's go.
A team that needs no introduction, Clicks and Duke, climbing their way up the ranks, fourth in the most recent NA East FNCS. They won the first Elite Cup of the region and then ready to take on the international stage.
This is cold and scented. These guys are like bread and butter, best together when placing in end games, finishing both second and fifth in the most recent 2 FNCSs.
Make some noise for Runa and Peppo. The Japanese powerhouse are here to rock our world. With several FNCS titles in the bag, they might just make it happen again.
Put your hands together for Noah Riley and Bad Sniper.
This newly formed duo for this event have both World Cup, Cash Cup, and FNCS experience under the belt. I mean, this can become dangerous.
Give it up for Threats and Alice. The combination of Asia and NA East is going to be super exciting to see as this newly formed duo will take on the competition.
The WKers have arrived. Malabuka and Mustache, one of the most aggressive duos of the EU region. They have always consistently come out with the most limbs, and this weekend, it should be no different.
Put your hands together for Trulex and Chicho, long-standing duo featuring a former Trio FNCS champion. They're ready to prove their worth to the world of Fortnite.
Let's welcome Bailey and Alex. Third, second, first is how this duo has placed on the Oceania region, and now they must be absolutely ready for the big stage.
Give it up for Pablo Ingu and Swag. Now this is what you get when you mix raw talent with maturity and experience. This is a flaming hot duo.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing out there? I'm joined right now by Clicks and Dude, make some noise! All right, Clicks, my friends, out here in front of a live audience, you've experienced World Cup before. How great is you back here in front of all these amazing people?
You know, after 2 years, it's finally a pleasure to, be at another LAN event, seeing the crowd, different atmosphere, so hopefully we do good.
Absolutely, and Duke as well, I'm going to ask you, quite new to in-person events, but being here, this experience so far, being around the players, the audience, how are you feeling going into this?
I'm feeling great. It's like, the experience is insane. I'm loving it.
Yeah, absolutely loving it. Are you guys loving it too? All right, Clicks and Duke, thank you so much, guys, and let's head over to Kelly and see who she's with.
From one Savage to another, I am joined by Mr. Savage and iDrop here. Now, iDrop, I know that you guys are going to be contested on drop. Are you planning on flat fighting or splitting?
100% fighting. I've had it Uncon for 12 months on the best region, so we're definitely fighting.
I love it. Mr. Savage, I heard that it's your birthday today. Everyone, on three, can we give Mr. Savage a big happy birthday? 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, good luck in game number 1, and let's head on to the next 10 players.
Please welcome Cloud and Refsguard. With the powerhouse performance in Chapter 3, Season 1, this consistent teammate he has picked up these last couple of chapters, they can take it all the way.
Let me give you Mixon and Otto, a fairly new performing duo coming out strong together. With a 7th place finish in the most recent EU FNCS, they could take it all the way.
And a big welcome to Pars and Rays. With a great start to Chapter 3, these guys have taken home both 2nd and 6th and 2 FNCSs this chapter. Now it is time to see them here at the Invitational.
Put your hands together for Belusi and Hijo. A lot of FNCS experience coming out of these guys, and that will be needed this weekend in order to take home the prize.
Vico and Marine, everyone, with a combination of a young and talented player and an even more experienced player side by side, this can only go well for this European duo.
On1 and Baka, everyone. A duo showcasing their skills last season of the NA West region with a 2nd place finish.
Let's hear it for Watson Robot, a very talented, promising, up-and-coming young duo. These guys have been performing so solid lately. Can they keep it going?
Pros and Rifty, one of the newer yet well-performing duos in this lobby. With his 6th place finish and his first FNCS, these guys came to take on a challenge.
And a big welcome to NA East, Larson and Smite, a well-performing Chapter 3 duo. They are here and ready to compete on the big stage amongst the best of the best.
Put your hands together for Falconer and Hellfire, an NA West OG, teaming up with an aggressive style European player. Now it's time to find out if it pays off.
"30 duos." You can already tell this is going to be some of the craziest Fortnite we have possibly ever seen. 7 regions being represented on this stage right now. Clown and Refsguard, the first duo to walk out, though. I mean, some of the more notable players in EU.
They're definitely a fun duo to follow along with. Although it's only their 3rd FNCS actually competing together, I think that it's interesting to note that they both, as individuals, respectively, had top 10 finishes in past FNCS finals. So they definitely have what it takes to place high up in the leaderboards. But what I want to see them do as a duo, more specifically, is kind of take that to the next level. You've made top 10 before, but let's see you actually win it all.
Whew, there you go, win it all. Tall task, especially seeing these 30 duos that have walked out already.
That's right, man. Well, Vivid, guess what? We got another 10 for you. So, Raleigh, make some noise!
Put your hands together for Peter Bott. And despite being new as a duo, they're boasting FNCS and Cash Cup title wins.
Make some noise for Pantsu and Fats, the French-Canadian duo with a tight bond. Back from Grand Royale and the most recent NA East FNCS as 3rd, they are here to take it all.
KBR and Default, the regional FNCS champions of Brazil Chapter 3 Season 2, and now they are here and ready to compete on the international stage.
Let's give a warm welcome to Bevy and Vortexer, the duo fresh out of the lobby. With only one FNCS together as teammates, they're now ready to give it their all here in Raleigh.
And a big welcome to Retake and Novice, the most recent FNCS champions of Chapter 3 Season 3 as well. They are here now ready for the FNCS Invitational.
Give it up for Scram and Chimp, combining the powers of EU and NA East. These guys have great potential in front of them. They could go all the way.
Put your hands together for Zagu and Marine, the most recent FNCS champions of Asia. They have put their mark on their region, and now they are ready to defend the title as champions.
A huge welcome to Ju and Yusri. Great potential in this duo here, and fairly recently teaming up together. Their journey begins now. And what a journey it's going to be.
This is the Andy and Joe FN, everybody. Several FNCS final performances and most recently 4th in EU's FNCS. Now, they are ready to take home the big prize.
It's Cool and Yumi with a stunning performance winning the NA West Chapter 3 Season 3 FNCS. We cannot count these guys out, and will they do it here as well?
40 players down, 10 more to go here, but before we can get to that 10, I have a special interview with Swearin, and Swearin, just being here in front of all these people with this big, beautiful stage, what are you feeling?
I feel really great. Like, this is so cool. I mean, Raleigh showed up, Fortnite community showed up, players showed up, like, everyone's excited. I don't know, I'm hyped for this. Like, it's so awesome.
I'm super hyped as well, and I know that you recently ran a tournament where it was just all goo guns. Obviously, thankfully, we're not going to be seeing any goo guns today, but what do you hope to see?
Okay, real quick, quick, I didn't run that. That was Beach Cobbler. I played in it, did really bad. I'm really excited to see people just like push for high ground and like just do like really exciting plays and stuff. I'm excited to see people like 1v2 and clutch up and then just like all those classic like Fortnite LAN moments. I'm excited for it. It's gonna be so awesome.
I cannot wait as well, and I believe everyone that we have 10 more players to introduce. So let's head on over to Jacob and MDF.
This is King and Ed Lagana, telling you duo, but there are no new names here. From the World Cup all the way to the Invitational stage, these guys are the biggest threat to the lobby.
Please welcome Focus and Spy with progression throughout each and every FNCS with a third place finish in the most recent Middle Eastern FNCS. These guys are ready to compete.
It is Thomas HC and Tripburn, folks. Two words, dangerous and dominating, as these two are extremely experienced and they must be ready to win this weekend here in North Carolina.
A huge welcome to Macwood and Kanata. Reunited has never felt so good. These guys are looking to pick up where they left off and take home the prize.
Let's hear it for Acorn and Edgy. Consistently great performances throughout their careers. They are here to continue that trend. NA East, show them some love.
Hen and Vortex, everyone. An incredible duo coming out hot with tons of experience and a few FNCS champions up to the belt, and they're looking to add one more.
Let's give a big welcome to Commandment and Avery, your Chapter 3, Season 3, NA East FNCS winners with one of the closest endgames we have ever seen in a finals. It's time.
A duo that needs no introduction. Tayson and Chapix combined 6 FNCS titles, countless Cash Cup wins, and now they're ready to take on the global competition.
Let's give it up for Muzz and Looter, multi-regional FNCS winners, previous champions of OCE's FNCS as well. Listen, these guys have got it all.
And finally, let's hear it for Booba and Miro, our solo World Cup champion with his multiple FNCS winning duo partner. These guys are looking to cement their legacy.
Let's freaking go! Look at this insane roster of duos that will be competing on the FNCS Invitational stage. I'm gonna pass out. Maybe I'm gonna pass out.
Please do not pass out, Zeke. Listen, 50 of the duos now set on stage, and one of them is standing out to me. And I know it's standing out to another part of the crowd right up there. King and Ed making a big name for himself at World Cup, of course, being the most aggressive player there. He stole the hearts of all the fans, and I'm hoping that he kind of redoes that performance here at the Invitational.
And his flexibility as a player, I think, is only going to pair so nicely with Ed. Despite the fact this is their first time competing together for this FNCS Invitational, I think that it's awesome that he came in 5th at the solos for World Cup, but he also had a duos placement there as well. So it's a quick indicator that Brazil can definitely represent.
That's right. I just want to throw some stats at you guys at home. If maybe this hasn't quite set in, you don't understand how insane this is. 15 FNCSs, 105 FNCS events across 7 regions, 88 FNCS championship titles on that stage, 47 FNCS champions on that stage, 27 countries all represented on that stage. And guess what? We're ready to kick off the competition. Adam, let's do this.
Yes, indeed. Can we get a huge round of applause for Thomas HD and Tripburn? Thomas, it's 10 top 10 FNCS finals for you. You must be feeling very confident coming into this competition.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play. It's gonna be a long time since like the last LAN event, and I can't wait to compete. Hopefully, a good placement.
We're hoping, I'm sure it will be great. I mean, Trippin as well. This is your third FNCS finals together. Is it third time lucky for you, fellas?
Yeah, hope so. I'm excited to play, and yeah, I'm playing with Thomas, so can't go bad.
All right, give him a big round of applause, please, folks! Best of luck, fellas. But we also, whilst up here as well, must chat to the reigning NAE champions as well. Give it up for Commandment and Avery! Avery, my man. This is an incredible opportunity and experience. Obviously, playing in front of a live audience as well. How hyped are you guys as a duo right now?
Well, this is my first LAN. It's an honor, honestly, to be here. Like, it's just unbelievable.
You guys are unbelievable! We've also got as well, to talk about obviously last season's win. 1 point separated you guys from first and second place, which is Vuga and Miro. How are you going to try and retain that title this weekend? What do you have to do right?
We're just going to try to play our game, be consistent, and hopefully we can take it home.
Do you think they can take it home, folks? Yeah? They seem confident. Thank you very much. Come on, Avery. Back to you, Zeke.
Thank you so much. We are drawing ever closer to starting this competition, kicking off and jumping out of that battle bus. We have to highlight a few more duels for you. I wanted to start pretty easy here, right? Janice and Vidil. I mean, EU fans, you guys already know what these guys are capable of. And here's just a handful of stats. You know, these stats don't look that crazy vivid.
Are you sure, Zeke? Because I don't think we're looking at the same stats if you don't think those look crazy. This is from the Elite Finals EU Week 6. Total point 310, 25 limited. That's just over the course of those 6 games, of course. And listen, if they're putting on performance like that from game to game, I can't wait to see what they can do at the Invitational.
And it's so exciting to finally get a chance to see them compete on that international space because we are looking as well at the European FNCS champions from Chapter 3 Season 3. That's Giannis and Vidil. They are a dynamic duo. They don't want to mess around. Even at one of the intro videos that we saw, what was the first thing that Vidil said? You want to contest us? That's fine. Free points for us.
The confidence. Listen, I love the confidence out of everybody. Also, you know, shout out to Trippin, right? Because like his interview went, yeah, I'm playing with Thomas. We're going to do great. Like it literally can't go bad. That is a lot of trust in your duo right there. Love that.
You love to see it. Talking about Vidil and Janice, they're currently uncontested at Greasy Grove. What does this mean for this duo? Having a POI uncontested that literally 6 other regions and even your own said, no, you can have that. That's fine.
Listen, this is how it goes, okay? You pretty much get to play all 12 games, right? But because you aren't contested plus 1, you aren't finding any of those early fights. So you have to go forcefully find some of these fights, and it can be very, very hard when the pressure's on, the nerves are kicking in, the audience is cheering on the stage. You know, you're thinking about it, man, do I really want to go take that fight? Do I really want to go get that storm surge? So they have to be confident in those routes, those strategies that they have set.
It's the audience aspect that I'm really curious to see how it impacts a lot of these duos, not just Giannis and Vidil, because it's one thing to play from the comfort of your home. It's another entirely to be in front of a live audience where when you got the cheers going behind you, you never know where that momentum might actually influence you to go next. I wouldn't be surprised for some of these players to really have to hone in on a lot of that mental discipline to not let themselves get distracted by any of the flashing lights or the noise. Just stick to what they know.
That's right. Let's talk about another duo, Clicks and Duke. We actually got to hear from them via Adam. I mean, look, their crowd's already going absolutely ham. The Clicks fans, rise up. What can we expect from this duo?
Listen, I'm excited, right? Because Clicks has been improving from season to season, day to day as an IGL, teaming up with Duke, of course, who is very, very good mechanically. You know, I saw him in the practice room, always grinding the creative, always willing to take on pretty much anybody in that room who wanted to give a shot at seeing if they could take him down.
And it's impressive how well Clicks has managed to simultaneously totter between this pro player aspect as well as the heavy side of content creation.
Yeah.
I think that it is not very easy to maintain both of those lifestyles. And not only that, but when you have somebody as experienced as Duke right next to you, I can understand where the trust comes from this duo. And knowing that they're against Pinkin and Nas, potentially at Fort Jonesy, I do believe we heard them mentioning, though, a possibility of just splitting at the start.
Well, listen, I love the fact that you mentioned content, right? Because, listen, you know, he's used to that, right? He wants the reactions. He posts that content to get reactions. And here, what other better place to get reactions than from a live crowd? So maybe he'll just straight up embrace it, and it'll fuel him.
That's right. I have to highlight this duo, man. Your FNCS Asia champions who are competing on this stage. There they are, Zagu and Meram. Remember, these are FNCS champions. They literally just won the FNCS that passed. And now we will see them compete. When we look at the stats, man, I'm pretty worried for everybody else.
Listen, we were just talking about, Vadil and Janice, who coming into this event are a lot of people's favorites, right? But right there, they had 310 points in one of those Elite Cups. Right there, I saw them have 344. There's a little bit of competition going on there. And as you can see from the camera shot, I love it. The preparation, they literally have printed out sheets of spots on the map, things that can help them out in this competition, anything to give them the edge.
And from the moment that we saw just how much energy they were actually bringing with them on their initial walkout, to the point of them sitting down here now, their faces do not indicate any sort of nervousness. They could very well be a big part of the bamboozlement to take place here with the international flavor.
I mean, they're up against Commandment and Avery, right? I feel like this could go really well for one of these duels. It could be really messy. I mean, what do you think, Vivid?
Over at the Rave Cave. Listen, I think, ultimately Commandment and Avery are going to be comfortable over there, right? They did win an FNCS from this POI, and of course, Zygu is landing on the outskirts of that. So I don't even know if they're going to take any of those early fights. But again, as the game's developed, if they start to struggle on Storm Surge in the later parts of the game, they might want to start taking that early fight.
But there is usually enough space surrounding Rave Cave for duos to not necessarily have to look for those early engagements if they don't want to. And you also have to keep in mind that they're not the only ones that are going to be landing there. There's also going to be Thomas HD and Tripper. That is a notorious favorite spot for them to go, is that south side of the Rave Cave. So curious to see where exactly these zones wind up actually taking these players and how their encounters might actually shape up.
That's right. There is a duo here that is quite terrifying. Out of Brazil, not a
Gardner
big deal.
is here.
The fans of them
Who
are
are
up here
you?
in the audience. It's King and Ed. I mean, the crazy thing is, King is one of the most winningest players. I mean, the crowd's already going crazy.
There it is.
One of the most winningest, one of the single-handedly
Gardner.
craziest mechanical players you will ever see in your life. But when you pair it up with just stopping power, which he also has by himself, he is a one-man army.
Yeah.
Hi.
Listen, of course, King representing FaZe, and shout out and congratulations to Ed. Recently, just days before the
It be a
event,
long
signed
time,
Team
man.
Liquid. Amazing opportunity
Hi.
there. As you can see him drip out in the jersey, showing it off here at the Invitational. And what I love most about this is that, again, we're here in person, right? So we can go into the practice room. We can kind of see what's going on. King
Ye
and
it
Ed,
has.
2v2 matches almost day and night, in and out. And listen, they were dominating players from every single region.
But the sheer presence that you have as an international player, and I'm speaking about King here, because the fact that he actually has audience members with signs of his name at an NA-based venue, that alone speaks volumes for the kind of impact
Everyone
that he's
make
had
sure to
on the
like and
Fortnite
subscribe for a moderator.
These guys are uncontested. We already know what this means for everybody else. It means they're going to get a free pass into the mid-game. If they are allowed this opportunity, what the heck is everybody else going to look to do to try and stop them?
Nothing. 12 games of pure aggression from King, and that's what it means. Just straight up, nothing else.
And also, just a really quick note there about Ed.
Sue,
He has
how
been
are you?
steadily improving with each of his performances throughout the entirety of Chapter 3. So if the momentum kind of keeps going in that direction, again, I don't think that international gameplay is going to disappoint by any means. These guys are amped up. They are ready to showcase their representation for their regions.
That's right. We want to come on over back to NA. We got to talk about Fams
Gardner.
and Snacky, an iconic
Good.
duo, to say the least.
Pretty good.
Are you there?
They're pretty good. That's pretty right.
Only, 2 FNCS wins.
All right.
Chapter, followed by 3rd place, all that, and the aggression from Tilted Towers. I can tell you right now, watching some of the Elite Cup games, they do not like to leave Tilted Towers without at least trying to find a fight. And I think that's going to
You
play
took
into the
my
part, right?
mod.
Some of the other players laying at Tilted Towers might not be expecting. Maybe they came into this like, we're going to split it. No, I'm pretty sure they're going to be aggressive.
And we've already touched on a little bit with this
Oh.
duo earlier today, but they are, in fact, certified point getters. Because on top of that stat that I gave you guys earlier, we're out of 36 FNCS finals games for Chapter 3. They only went 2 without elims. Well, guess what else? They didn't go a single game in Chapter 3 FNCS finals without scoring points of any capacity throughout every single round. That is insane.
Just a stat line, right? I mean, this stage is going to, it's legitimately some of the best players.
You need to say I am the
representing
best
7
streamer in
regions
the world.
all around the world. It's absolutely ridiculous. I wanted to really quickly touch. I know both of you guys have come from competitive player backgrounds. You know what this feels like, to be on a stage like this, to be in front of a crowd like this. What are
Here,
some
love.
of these players feeling right now?
Listen, some of them, they're looking locked in, right? They're looking like focused. They're not even thinking about the crowd. They don't even see the crowd beyond the monitors right now, which is really, really good for some of them. But I'm telling you, some of them are probably
You
just
are the
really
best
good at
steamer
hiding
in the
nerves,
world.
because being at these events, it's a different atmosphere. We talked about it time and time again. It is not the same as playing in your room at all. You will have all these lights. Maybe the desk is a little bit of a height difference. The chair is a little bit different than what you're used to, and it all plays into part, how well you're going to do. I remember as a player myself feeling a little bit uncomfortable on the stage, not because of the crowd, not because of the lights, but simply because of, slight changes in how I was used to sitting.
It's just not your home setup, and that's going to be naturally difficult for any player to overcome, no matter how much in-person or LAN experience they might actually have underneath their belt.
Do you know me
One
stream
thing
rules?
that I always find a little bit fun talking with some of the players, even yesterday and in the player lounge, it's asking them what are their kind of like little tips and tricks. I want to know how many of them like taking their shoes off, for example, because it's just that it adds that extra little safety net of just, hey, I feel more like I'm at my in-home environment.
Yeah, 100%. And this is all like, I know it sounds like, oh, take your shoes off. That's like a joke right now. This is legitimately, man. Like, when a player's comfortable, they will perform better. It's proven.
No
Why don't
way.
we hang out with, we got with Tokata, Mini Miner. You guys in the player area?
We are indeed, Zeke. Now, some of these players might have their shoes off, but we've got our thinking hats on about this day today at Takata. I mean, we've got 2 days of Fortnite action. I'm excited. We're going to be breaking everything down tomorrow and today, of course, but how excited are you?
Look, I'm incredibly excited, right? There's so many storylines that have yet to be built, right? We have Malibuka and Merstash going against European GOATs, Titans, right? Tayson and Chapix down in the cloudy condos, and even with the third duo there, Aqua Reason, with a possible third party. I'm excited to see that engagement. We even have Mr. Savage being contested up north, closer to Logjam, and then down at the Synapse Station, Joe and Ziandi, which are no longer contested because now Baka and On1 have moved up north to Mr. Savage and his duo's drop spot. I mean, there's a lot of action to unfold. Mini, I'm excited.
I'm super excited as well, but things can change, of course. We know how these drops are maybe going to form. We see some people moving around and changing up their idea of how they're going to play.
I'm go
So
playing
be on the lookout
Roblox.
for some changes. Be on the lookout for some of these players and teams that are thinking, actually, you know what, let's switch things up. Let's go for plan B, plan C, plan D,
Okay,
plan
number
Z,
1 be
maybe.
nice
Who
and
knows?
number
That's
2
what I love
Timmy
about
out
Fortnite,
people
right?
who
You never know
spam.
What's actually going to happen, right? We might be able to see the drop map, see what these duos have planned ahead of time, but who knows? Maybe they have a not so great game 1 and then they have to change things up, or maybe even after halftime, right? 3 games down, you're like, okay, we're not doing too good. We got to change something up. But I'm excited to see who's going to be able to show that they've been practicing. They have been in the player lounge going against each other, even in creative, doing 1v1s, 2v2s. And I mean, there's so much to see. I really just can't wait.
So much to see, so much to do, and I can feel the energy in the arena right now. But Zeke, please take it away. We're too hyped.
Bro, I'm right there with you, man. I just cannot wait to see all of the action unfold before our very eyes. We're almost there. Just a couple little things before we start the battle bus on its journey. I wanted to
Be right
highlight
back.
another duo, Cammy and Seti, right? For you longtime EU fans as well, you know these guys recently just won a DreamHack. They've literally came in first and second place in a solos competition. They were the best 2 players at the tournament.
And the thing that I love about Cammy and Seti is that individually they kind of remind me of myself, right? That really slow, methodical game play style. They're not going to go for anything too flashy, anything too risky. They're just going to play their game out and play that top 10, top 5 consistent every single game because they are landing at that mid-map spot uncontested.
Yeah, the infamous Cammy split, as everybody in EU and just about the world has basically come to know. Exactly, but I am curious to see how their surge management actually unfolds throughout the entirety of Chapter 3. I don't think that they really had too many issues with it, but it is important to note that for this duo specifically, they don't really like fighting early. And, well, fortunately, having an uncontested drop spot can definitely feed into that. So naturally, you want to wonder where their points are going to come from or where their surge management is going to come from. And I think that that is something that they're largely just going to have to control throughout their mid-game.
Yeah, they also have to be very, very careful when they're landing there in the center of the map. There are a lot of teams landing around them, especially, we think about Tilted Towers right to the left of kind of where they're landing. And then also center map, Cold and Tendon are expected to be contested there at that Loot Lake kind of area. So if any of those teams kind of want to disengage from some of those early spawn fight situations, they could easily run over to the split that Cammy and Seti are looking to take and maybe gather up some loot themselves, which could force a fight. And that's really disadvantageous for Cammy and Seti because they're going to be split, right? They're at these split drops, so they're usually off on their own.
And I think what you're getting at is adaptability, right? These duos being able to moment say, we had a game plan, we did not find the chest, we did not find the thing, we got tagged, someone has pushed on our like location, we need to change up something. What does that look like, man, right? Like, if this was EU FNCS, I'm like, oh yeah, no problem, I got all the notes for you, but it's NA East, it's NA West, it's Asia, BR, OCE, you know, there's so many other regions that you have to kind of be accounting for. And not only their own meta, it's that duo, right? Like, oh, I know they're from BR and they do this, oh great.
I mean, listen, you're bringing up a great point there, right? Like, how? You don't have many notes on a lot of these teams because they're just around for the entire world, right? And that's why international events are held at such a high praise, because they're just straight up harder. The competition from all around the world. It's harder to play against people that you don't normally play against.
And the competitive lobby metas that you'll often see break out throughout the course of each of these 12 games in this weekend, I think that is going to be a really crucial aspect for some of these teams to hone in on. We know that these players have been cramming VOD review leading up to today. We know that they're going to be doing plenty more of it after these 6 games are even played tonight. But as far as Gaming Insider are concerned, just touching back on them, I like the fact that you brought up the early game engagements, because honestly, their all-time record, by the way, first 3 zones, they have a less than 5% of elim scoring throughout those first 3 zones. So they don't like the early game engagements.
That is absolutely crazy indeed. You know, a duo I feel like could be a dark horse of the competition that I really want to see kind of win it all. It's Acorn and Edgy. Edgy over in NA has come second place. So close so many times. Paired up with Acorn. Look, we know this duo is absolutely incredible. They are some of the toppest caliber duo that NA has to offer. Yeah. But Edgy just hasn't been able to grasp that #1 spot. And what I feel like for me to come out of this event and say, I'll walk away with the Swarovski trophy, baby, that'd be pretty sweet.
Look at Edgy waving. What's up, Edgy? Listen. Edgy loves it, man. You know, we're laughing at him getting, second place 4 times. He himself, last about it. Look at, I wonder where he's landing. He has the picture of himself there. He's seen it a couple times now. Tilted Towers. And look, they were being real confident coming into this event. Unfortunately, they are contested by a plethora of other teams over at Tilted Towers. I really think that if they were uncontested, they could probably run away with this event. We'll have to see what happens. I still think it's possible. I think it's a little bit less likely. But I was watching Acorn, yesterday, last night, even into the later night, 10, 11 o'clock. He was still VOD reviewing all the way up until then. So I'd love to see the practice coming out of this duo.
But it's the fact that there's 5 duos at Tilted Towers, and literally none of them are willing to budge from this spawn. They all want their piece of the pie here at Tilted Towers, and whether or not this engagement could end up being worthwhile for the duo that even walks away, because when you think about it, Vivid, there might have to be a ton of resources expended.
Yeah. We cannot forget, here they are, Queasy Vino. We talked about them at the beginning of the show, and like a circle, we find ourselves back at the beginning. I mean, what more could we possibly say about this duo? They've basically been winning everything as of late. Queasy is looking in absolute top form. Vino has been crushing it. He's ready to go.
You want to know something? So I used to be a professional player. Now I'm an analyst, right? Both are very heavy when it comes to the VOD reviews. I pretty much have just done it for the past 5 years. Very intense. I love it. It's awesome. I have never watched a VOD review and been like, wow, I am impressed on the individual level. Because I've been at the top before, right? You know what I mean? I've seen pretty much everything that these players can do.
You're still first in our hearts, Vivian.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Vino, I VOD reviewed him for this event. It's an international event. I'm typically on the NAE side of things, but let me dabble in EU so that way I'm prepared for this event. I'm watching Vino. Individually, like I said, I've never been impressed. I was impressed. He seems so clean. Every single action that he does, it seems like it has a purpose. And I genuinely have never seen that out of an individual player ever.
There's a reason why he's often regarded as one of the best fraggers in Fortnite competitive history right now. And not only that, but he's got a perfect IGL to match that. Queasy is notorious for being an absolute genius for his IGLing. And I think something that I love about Queasy is that his stats also speak for themselves, because you don't go the past 7 seasons getting a victory royale dating all the way back to Chapter 2, Season 6 without being a consistent IGLer. He just knows how to stay cool, calm, and collected in every single competitive environment.
And I love the fact that you're bringing up the IGLing aspect, right? A lot of these dudes are going to be making a lot of calls. Queasy, what he is known for is his very clean, high ground takes. it just always seems so methodical and flawless whenever he does it. So the pairing is very, very well. But then that's not even like one of the most exciting parts is they always seem to find those mid-game dead side rotations that work out so well that keep them alive into the end game very consistently.
And it's kind of like having a silver bullet, right? You have, they're ready to go. If you're Queasy, you're just thinking, okay, I need to go accomplish this goal. I'm going to point my silver bullet in the direction. There's an enemy over there I don't like. Vino, why don't you just go 1v2 them for us, and then bring their loot and ammo back and builds, and then I'm going to be up on high ground, okay? I'll see you in 30 seconds. So that's not a joke.
I'm laughing because, 1v2s, right? They seem impossible, especially on the international stage. But no, like, literally, Vino, he just does it so often, and I cannot wait to get to the game.
That's right. Guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, Fortnite fans, we're ready. The battle bus is all ready. The players are on board. So let's do this. It's game number 1.
Here we go. It is time. Is one just big moment away from really kicking it off. All that preparation, we're going to have to put it into it. The battle bus is ready. Let's go, Jacob.
It is time. Game number 1 of the FNCS Invitational starts right now. 27 different countries are represented. 88 different champions. Overall, this is just amazing.
And just look at the concentration on the players' faces as they start to populate onto this world. Put yourself into their shoes. Imagine the pressure as you are jumping off the battle bus here. We already know what's in store for us. It's going to be an incredible amount of action as we know there are so many contested drop spots.
Yeah, and already looking at the drop path, one of the biggest ones is going to be over towards Rave Cave, where you have Commandment and Avery, the most recent NA East FNCS champions. They're a little contested. Not going to be a hot fight right out of the gates against Thomas, HD, and Triprin, because right now they're just getting that early game done and ready.
That's right, and it is going to be so important for everyone who is contested to take and walk in the path of caution. You cannot allow yourself to make any risk. Up at Chrome Jam Junction, we already know there's several players on top of each other. Tilted Towers, remember, 5 duos contesting this area, some of which are the most notable of Bad Sniper, Noah Riley, Acorn, Edgy, Fabs, and Snacky just to the south.
That's such a stacked stage. You might as well call that the Legends Landing. Let me tell you, but see Snacky over on the side, you're talking about Bad Sniper as well, but one of our hottest drops with EU's biggest names, Cloudy, Kondo, Feet haven't even touched the ground yet, but it does look like it's going to be Malibuka and Merstash on the ground first.
Malibuka, of course, representing for Russia, Merstash for Latvia. We got Aqua here and Rezon, our high ground kings. One of the most respected set of duos right here. If they really cut loose, they make endgame, it's over. You're going to see Aqua playing for that big high ground play. And look at how they are respecting the area. Everyone making sure they are solidifying their foundation right before they really decide to make a fight.
Yeah, but look at Malibuka's loot already. A green prime, a blue Evo Chrome burst. He's ready to pack a punch at a moment's notice. He's probably waiting for Merstash to probably give him the go-ahead. But another inter-regional battle over towards Grim Gables.
Now what's crazy about this, I got to sit down with Muzz and Looter. They are feeling exceptionally confident in beating Larson and Smite. But you have to put yourself into this kind of position right now. There's pressure all around you. To me, it's looking like Larson and Smite have the advantage right now. Just take a look at the focus right here, right? This little bit of high ground, they have them almost trapped down below.
Yeah, and the thing is, right now, Larson is a little bit separated from Smite. That is a little bit towards low ground. You know as well as I do, all it takes is 1 second of separation to kind of do one of these teams in, as Marine and Vico over here towards Reality Tree. Another contested drop. But you can see this is only game number 1. Nobody wants to put it all on the line just yet, but I might have spoke too soon. Larson would get it. Taking down a ton of damage on the Muzz. Looter trying to back him up, and it looks like they got the first elimination of FNCS.
Down goes Larson, and the quick finish for Looter. OCE gets to claim the first on the show today. It's Smite now, left with the pressure of the world on his shoulders. Can he escape these OCE players? It doesn't look very possible. We all know from the past experience that Looter and Muzz are some of the
fastest and deadliest when it comes down to these engagements, and they're hip to hip right now.
Yeah, Smite right now, he has to figure out a way to just really stay alive, and it looks like Muzz and Looter, they're trying to decide right now, Monster, do you continue to try to fight against Smite as he's looking to try to get that reboot card onto Larson as the third-party shots are beginning to come in from the distance, and that's the thing, you know as well as I do, any drop that's contested and you have that early game fight, and especially it builds just like this, there are so many teams that are going to look at you to get their surge.
Now in the past, Smite has been known to walk away with at least one elim in every single major game. This time might actually break his streak that he's been on, but Muzz and Looter, take a look at the respect here to play cautious, take their time, and not overcommit even in the 2v1. That's the respect, but let's get to the real battle. Cloudy Condo, Tayson, Chapix taking on this big duo toe-to-toe. It's Merstash and Malabuka, who have a 73%, 78% win ratio when contested. The odds are not looking good. The third party in the distance, Aqua's up on high ground. They're positioning for the fight.
Yeah, Breeze on A and Aqua, they have that high ground, just put damage onto two different players. They're like eating at a buffet right now when it comes to Storm Surge, but in the feed, Mr. Savage is down on one in Baka from NA West. They're trying to take control of that POI, but all three teams are here, but you gotta keep notice, while all the action is going down between Malabuka and Merstash, you see Aqua and Reason just trying to keep their distance.
Crazy how they fight back. They are not just allowing this team to third party them. Reason gets super hurt there, and it looks like the battles in the distance get to conclude. But here and now this fight rages on here. Reason all of a sudden has such an advantageous position, right? And lands all those shots. The entire tables have turned.
Yeah, and it does look like the NA West, Baka and On1 have solidified Chrome Jam Junction to themselves. Down goes Mr. Savage. Down goes iDrop. NA West, make some noise.
That's right. And now for Jace in Basil, another team that was contested in the early kind of situation. It seems like they've won themselves some space. Yep. They're vibing out. Look at the Storm Surge tags here as they start to fight back the teams that are out on the outer edges here. What a great spot to be, especially with the zone house right on top of them. They have so much going for them now that they don't have to worry about that. Whoa, a big fight though. On1 gets back. That's the replay there. I love that we got to catch that.
And you can see the strategy coming out from On1 and Baka. They switched up their drop spots this weekend. It's not like they've been practicing there all season long. They're just adapting on the fly. As you see Booga, Mero, we already talked about the uncontested drop spot of Chonkers Speedway. The zone is kind of above them, and they're one of those teams that just wastes no time trying to figure out what that game plan is. They're going to try to get to zone and then worry about surge when all those other teams that are south and east of them have to go past them.
And the Middle Eastern, one of the few representatives of the Middle East community here in Andelest. What a monumental task to step up here and for the first time ever compete with a duo. So we love to see what we have going on here. So much representation of all of our spaces. You know what I saw, which was in the feed as well? Japan versus Brazil. Looks like Peppo found one too. So little exchanges happening everywhere. As now we jump over to Vino and Queasy, some of the best at Shiny Sound.
Yep, you see them just going for their own surge. This is going to be one of the wildest lobbies we've ever seen. If you're down on surge at any point in the game, you're forced to play catch up to all these elite teams who know exactly how to handle their own surge if they are above. But one of the big teams, one of the favorites to possibly take the competition overall, Janice and Fadil, Greasy Grove, uncontested, and everybody knows what they can do uncontested.
Janice is the only European player to have ever picked up an FNCS in solos, trios, and duos. 3 different game modes, such a decorated team that we have together. That's our German powerhouses. As we jump over to Anas and Pink, what a team right now. Remember, they were contesting Clicks and Duke down at the Joneses. It seems like things might have slowed down for them. They've been a bit more passive. There's a single elim, though, right inside there, too, so that's a pickup.
Yeah, and for a lot of these teams today, this is just game number 1. The nerves right now, they're just feeling each other out, trying to figure out how everybody's playing, and then they're going to adapt as soon as this one gets at least towards the mid-game, probably towards the end game. It's going to get super exciting very, very quick as Merstash, Malabuka, that fight done and over with. They know it's about the resource, about matting up and setting yourself up for later on.
And I love that you say that because what they have that the other teams don't, tons of accessibility to the metal. Yep. You see how their metal resources really starting to cap out there. Tayson and Chapix, though, they're going to give up the you know, kind of gotten our hands dirty. Let's go and move out. And you notice that they also managed to take home the medal as well. Everything else, man, you can find it on your way out, right? It's the toughest resource to rebuild back is that medal when you are at the draw spot. So this is a team, they'll bounce back.
Yeah, and it's also one of the first materials that you use when really trying to defend yourself. As Zagu and Miram just kind of looting up the Greasy Grove, whatever Janice and Vidil left behind. And there's actually a lot of the teams that landed Rave Cave, a little bit north, that are trying to rotate towards this slower side of zone. And right now, everybody are just stuck in zone because nobody wants to bite off more than they can chew.
This is our current reigning champions of the Japanese region, representing for Japan of the Asia region here. Now we jump over to Ed and King. One of the most explosive duos. We talked about Ed's history, how much he's really risen to the challenge, improving season after season. Now paired up with King, they have such a fun history here. They have engaged against one another multiple times in FNCS in seasons past. Now they get to play together.
Yeah, kind of rotating all the way from north, Chrome Jam Junction. They find themselves a sweet spot. But a team that has so much experience together, but years ago, now reuniting for the Invitational, Macwood and Kanata. And let me tell you, in some of those practice games, Monster, that uncontested drop spot that Kanata and Macwood have proven to be fruitful. They got first place in scrims, and now they're here to try to replicate that on the biggest stage.
Only 2 duos have fallen, and now another steps into the position here to possibly take a fight, but no. Bevies and Vortex are known a little bit better. They're going to land right behind Chappies. They find Jason out by himself. A great shot here, and now he steps up. But smarter to go ahead and defensively poise up here. No need to get too antsy.
Yeah, not just yet, at least. You can't really get too busy too early. There's so many players that right now, you see 95 left alive. When Storm Surge actually activates Monster, this is probably going to be one of the most scariest things I've seen in Fortnite in quite a while.
That is true, and Bevies and Vortexes are really considering peeking out. Now, one thing we spoke about with the professional players is that one thing you don't do is open those big boxes and peek for too long. If there's ever a time to do it, you can do it here in the early game kind of situation while you have some time. But while we have some time, let's just go ahead and catch up with Miniminer.
Not quite there, Tokata, but close enough. I got you, Monster. We're going to be taking a look at North Shiny Sounds, where we have a fan-favorite duo, Queasy and Vino. I find it interesting how they were playing split up here. Queasy was on the low ground, taking shots from opposing duos, but Vino, up above on the balloon, was able to get free tags on the opposing duos that were looking at Queasy, and having this split mentality in the drop spot is crucial for getting those free tags and able to set yourself up for that late game.
An amazing breakdown there, Jacob.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't really mention it. Did you see the 18 splashes on him? Yeah. These guys are ready for that end game. If you have that much heals, that's going to allow you, if you are down on Surge, to kind of handle it. But Fabs and Stacky, FNCS champions from NA West, hurting on Storm Surge right now, trying to get themselves back up. But it does look like the fight, maybe the dust have settled, and this is the aftermath. As you see, yeah, Fabs does have one elimination, 36 above the damage threshold. Even though right now they have a little bit of comfortability, that threat is still looming in the back of their minds.
That's right, and they rolled up. They took down a team there, and now they get to go ahead and reap the rewards. They needed those tags, but that's not going to be enough. There's a little bit more in front of them. A team that's well below the Surge right now, our full Middle Eastern duo, Spy and Focus, are sitting here, and it's not looking too hot. 220 damage below. I had so much time to catch up with Spy. He is an incredible, and I mean incredible player, but this is one of those decisions that you have to make now.
No
Who do you pick
Riley.
to fight? There's no easy one. Now we have EU versus NA West. Noah Riley, Bad Sniper, Epic Will, and Reed on the other side of the wall.
This one is going to get close because Reed, I already talked about, he loves to fight. Epic Will loves to fight as well, but Epic Will is also that IGL, that 6-time champion. He knows when and where to pick his battles in every single one of these situations. So he's probably talking to him right now, get the pre-edit ready, but he's 137 below. This is why they're not abandoning the fight. They have damage to do.
Epic Will and Reed have around a 70+% win ratio when taking on these early game fights in these early zones. It's looking very good for them, but the Surge, no one can beat the Surge. That is going to be inevitable damage in the coming seconds. So this is why this fight's so important. Down comes a Chug Heal. They're just going to run and sit there, try to get as much health as possible. Meanwhile, in the distance, Threats and Alice are starting to put shots in. So this is not a fight that's not, being interfered with. Reed's going to fall first. Epic Will's by himself. Shots come in. Noah Riley wastes no time. They pounce in.
away this elimination here. Someone has to get it in there. It is. They close things up and finish it off quickly, and just like that, EU comes out on top.
Oh my god, the action is just all over. Basil, Chase, they're out as well. That's Pink and Anas who pick up 2 more. And I even saw moments ago that Booga went down. The elimination feed is just lighting up. Pars and Rays go down as well. This one is getting active very fast, but that's because of the Storm Surge. But this is something I feel like all of us preface just a little bit. Handling that Storm Surge is going to be so important throughout these 12 games.
Kanata and Macwood take down Booga and Miro in the feed. It is done. It is wrapped. Meanwhile, Asia's champions are finding some too, but KBR and Z, representing for Brazil, are here, and they need more tags. They're just 8 above. Well played for them to go ahead and find a few to keep them in the game, but let's get on over to that fight that is inevitably gonna continue. Tayson versus Chapix.
And this is exactly what happens when you split it, though. They split that drop spot. They weren't able to get the early damage. Down goes Chapix, Tayson under pressure, A-Speed getting dropped, and there he goes, back to the lobby, but Deal and Janice do it again.
From teammates to enemies, Janice takes down Tayson in the zone, just like that, it is over. Now, we jump on over to Onwon and Baka, 3 elims, NA West, one of the few hopes for NA West this weekend right here. Talks to me about how they managed to surge over Mr. Savage and iDrop, and now they're picking it up.
Just honestly talking to them before this as they were preparing, and when they finally made that decision to switch up their drop spot, they had a choice. Do you contest Hen and Vortex? Do you contest Joe and Z Andy? They said no. They want to take one of the biggest names in Europe. They want to go against Mr. Savage and iDrop, and already it's proving to be fruitful. Onwon coming from Mexico. This guy is a legend from NA West, and honestly, it's been just a few seasons and he's already making a name for himself.
That's right, and way to do it on the international stage now when it matters. Now we jump on over to Chicho and Trulix here. What a great spot to be in, my God. Finding beautiful tags here, holding the team out on the side. Meanwhile, Badil and Janice look like they have finally made it from outside the storm line. Tough spot to be in. You have a lot of water here, very little land terrain to work with, and take a look in the distance there. You see the stacking starting to happen. Meanwhile, on the other side, some of the NA East best, Edgy and Acorn. Now what's cool about this duo here is that Edgy and Acorn quite literally said, hey, the better the lobby skill-wise, the better I will perform. That is how much experience he's picked up in the past from practicing against the best of the best lobby.
And already, if you look at their loot right now, that 5-team contestation coming out of Tilted Towers, honestly, didn't do too much. 256 above the damage threshold as well. Shots continue to fire off onto Ju. He goes down. Elimination's going to be cleaned up to Acorn. They get 2 to their total. And his teammate, Yusri, goes down as well. That's going to be Vadil and Noah Riley picking up some more eliminations as well.
What a quick way to finish that one off. And there's a problem here. We have Baka and Onwon sitting on the walls of NA East champions, our most recent of Avery and Commandment. You can see they've actually taken a lot of damage here. They were just below the surge quite a bit ago. And yes, more damage is starting to come in. It's only a matter of time now for them. They will have to take a fight. That's no easy fight on the other side of the wall, but first tags there are going to go to the side of the NA East boys.
Yeah, Onwon and Baka right now, they just need to play their game. They are down on Storm Surge in terms of Commandment and Avery, 65 above, those traded shots. Actually, I wish Onwon and Baka would have just stayed in the box, because honestly, if they would have just waited a little bit longer, Storm Surge would have had these guys almost down and out, and they could have easily cleaned those up. But right now, they're just playing safe. They just want to go ahead and make it towards their end game, because this is one of the teams. They finished second in the last FNCS of NA West. They know how to fight with the best of them.
This is what it's all about. We show up for big moments like this. Can you step up to the plate? We are just moments away from the game becoming extremely difficult. The zone is only getting tighter and tighter, and take a look at how many players have huge pressure, rapid and endless now. And they have Clicks and Duke sitting above them. Macwood and Kanata starting to look down as well. They're off to a hot start. That is one of the teams to look out for. Meanwhile, a single Elim already for Clicks on the other side. So they've survived the drop. A huge shot. Clicks finds a 1. They're on to Andalek. Then the finish 2. Clicks and Duke managed to get 2 more eliminations. Oh my gosh.
Hey, you got to give him credit, though. He said it himself. He has that World Cup experience, teamed with an FNCS champion in Duke, his first time in an in-person event, and he's already loving the environment. Even though he didn't take that off-spawn fight, it was so that he can make it toward this end game and continue to do things like that.
Alice and Threats They're communicating with a translator between them. NA East and Japan playing with each other. But hold up. Vadil, Janice, this is a problem. One of our favorites. When you look online, you look at Twitter, you look at what everyone is putting together for a top 10 list. You expect this team to do so well in game one and already broken apart.
Yeah, Janice was down inside of the storm. Vadil really couldn't go and save him. He has no HP really to regain. Merstash and Malabuka, another one of those teams towards Cloudy Condos who are nobody really fought it off spawn. They got some tags and left. 31 below. The pressure is on. They're so close to zone, but they can't necessarily travel to zone because they have to worry about Storm Surge that's actually doing a ton of damage.
31 below. Not looking good, Jacob. Tags are coming in. Clock is ticking. They do have heals. They can survive for a little bit more, but you hear the shots raging everywhere as the lobby turns online. Vadil fires back. He catches Macwood in the feed. That must have been incredible, and that's happening right above us. Meanwhile, turning the story around, Vadil is known as one of the greatest box fighters, literally made his name known for taking on fights and destroying players across Europe. Let's take a look at that one more time.
Yep, you see Vadil just kind of peeking through the cone, catching Macwood off guard. And honestly, it looked like Macwood was going to try to do the same to him, peeking through that cone. You better watch where you peek. Aseti and Cammy, another favorite to probably take the top spot here in this event. 306 above the damage threshold. They're still continuing to put that pressure on the lobby. That's exactly what you got to do when you make it to endgame, especially if you're a team that doesn't fight off spawn.
Becoming Legends, Cammy and Seti have 2 launch pads. They have material. They have heals. This just might be their game. Well, let's jump on over to Seat. KBR. How's it going here? 132. They have Z Handy and Joe FN on the other side of the wall. It's going to be a tough one. 23 duos remaining here. The surge is still active. And now as the timer hits 0 and the zone reveals itself, we're going to start entering into the first moving zone territory. These next 25 seconds are going to be some of the toughest they have ever had to deal with. Remember, for some on this stage, this is their first LAN, an in-person event that they have ever experienced here, and they get to play it out now.
And this is where you talked about some of the players that had rotation. It is going to be so important. You see where the zone pulls. There's different elevations that these players are going to have to traverse through. If you don't have any sort of rotation, you're going to have to figure out how to recycle it. Otherwise, you're going to be living a nightmare.
Vadil, he has a launch pad. He's going to play for it. High ground. The first ones to go is Dino. It's Queasy. This is where you expect them to be. They're up top where they are so comfortable. Now, can they hold it all the way? The launch pad comes down. They don't want to stay there and commit the map. They're going to go in and switch it up. Merstash on the low ground down to 40 HP, but he still has some movement to work with.
You can see him. He's speaking through the cone, gathering that information. He has a launch pad as well. He can easily try to find his way through, but there's so many players stacked all around him. They don't want to make it easy, but 28 above the damage threshold. He's not only looking for the perfect rotation, he's looking for some players to put some shots on, but a high ground goes over to Peppo.
Whoa, Asia on height now too. This is big. That's something you did not expect, but Vino and Queezer are now looking up, take the side, go for it. They land on top of Asia, and it's all or nothing now. Vino fights for it. The wall gets edited. It's not quite his. It's a battle on all fronts here. Can they win it off? And he does just enough. Vino and Queasy have managed to fight back for high ground in the first game of the FNCS Invitation.
Yep, and there goes a saw to the feed. Vadil and Janice, their run came to an end. Vico picking up Anas and Merstash. 2 different players as Alice is trying to break through. 118 below the damage threshold. He knows he cannot stay in one place too long, trying to reunite with Threats, but he goes down as well. Storm Surge really eating these guys alive. Alice has to do something, but the options are so thin. He doesn't know what to do. Finally finding one player, puts the shot on. Storm Surge still going wild. He's below, but that siphon coming through just in the nick of time to keep him alive.
He is alive. He takes down the run, steps into the zone, and look at this. A huge pickup now. That's going to buy him more time. That could be the absolute difference. Meanwhile, Seti and Cammy playing their game. Pamstu and Fash still alive as well. High ground has Queasy and Vino. Low ground has Chicho and Trulix playing and leading the front side of zone. There's not a player in sight Clicks is still alive now, working his way through. He has lost his teammate. The full finish comes through. It might be all or nothing now. He still has so much left in the tank.
Yeah, but I'm not too worried about him because of him and Duke's high placement last FNCS was because of solo clutches from that man himself. And talk about solos. Joe gets one as D'Andy goes down. Shots coming in from the high ground. Pressure is there, but Joe's trying to find his way to the front side of zone, but it's a hard journey trying to find it. 12 HP, continuing to drop. Shots still coming in. He's going to find a moment of an oasis to try to stabilize and figure out what's the next play.
Cammy and Seti find their way to the high ground. Down goes Clicks to the hands of Cammy. That's a huge one. Hello, Vino. You have to turn and run. Cammy wants to hear nothing about that noise right there. Meanwhile, Seti's keeping eyes on the general area. Very solid. Chicho fighting his way, but no. An edit comes through. It's Zagu and Marine, who's right above them there. Our FNCS champions of Asia are still here. Down goes Pamstu as well. What a huge elimination here.
The top 7 duos alive. 11 players total left in this game. One of them being Seti and Cammy towards the high ground. The analyst has called it. These guys don't play too many early game fights. They wait for this end game and for every opportunity. But Acorn, he's trying to sneak some extra points. He has the Medmiss sitting in the zone. Vino doing the same, but he's almost all out of opportunity.
This is absolutely what you expect of the best players in the world coming together for this invitational here, to have this opportunity to step up to the plate, represent for your region. This is what it's all about. Vino by himself, just working his way, ratting his way through the build. Acorn is as well. There's a set of major points separating them. Vino looks to high ground. He says, I'm not going to allow you to just sit there and focus me. Trulex is meanwhile in the low, looking for something to do here, turning builds into Chrome. Remember, he can slip through any one of these now. Becoming desperate.
He's just trying to reinforce a little bit of the builds that are around him so nobody can quickly edit through and try to pick that shot. Miram and Zagu, they don't have that high ground, but they have that mid layer trying to find that comfortability. Vino, only 2 HP, no Medmiss left. He's going to have to try to find a siphon here, but no, he gets dropped. Acorn finds another one from the outside of zone.
7 elids for Mareem and Zagu, representing for Asia here, looking great. Meanwhile, Julie and Cool are getting 1% closer now. Workers we have ever seen enter into the ecosystem, becoming legends. Seti and Cammy must be absolutely proud. Acorn and Edgy, they were just incredible. Wait for Acorn to truly step up to the table there and clutch this one out. And he said it, put me in the best lobbies, I will put up the numbers.
Yeah, and for him, that's a little bit of a success, even though he didn't get the victory royale. Staying alive as long as he did, getting extra eliminations, and getting that top placement, that is just insane. But let's go ahead and throw it over to an interview with the winners.
Okay, you guys? Yep. I am with our Game 1 winners. Give it up for Cammy and Seti! I must ask, what, Dzień dobry, first and foremost. Obviously, Game 1 winners, how was that being out there and winning in front of this amazing crowd?
It's amazing. I love the atmosphere here. It's really nice having a crowd again.
Excellent. And also, obviously, high ground reigns supreme. Once you had the high ground there, able to maintain, do you think that was the difference maker? You felt comfortable being above the rest of the teams?
Like, we knew that 5 team doesn't have much, so we just took it.
You took it. Going into the next game, much of the same? Do you have to constantly change strategy, or did it feel good playing against the rest of the world?
It feels good. It feels pretty easy. I'm not like denying the competition, but it feels really nice playing here. And yeah, we're just going confident into game 2. Still have to be consistent to the end of the tournament, and that's it.
Excellent stuff. Once more time, guys, give it up your game 1 winners, Cami and City! Good stuff. Let's head back over to our man sitting on the desk.
Thank you guys so much. Game number 1 is taken by EU. This is going to be a tough one for everybody else. EU, let's represent, baby! Cami and Seti, though, come out huge in game number 1. What's crazy, too, for a moment there, we watched Queasy and Vino go for height in 6th moving, right? But it's not them who end in height. It's Cami and Seti.
It's crazy. Big development there. I can't believe Cami and Seti are the ones that actually end up on the high ground. I love the fact that you mentioned that there were a little bit of flip-flopping going on the high ground. Somehow Cami and Seti, probably the least likely to, in my opinion, to find themselves up there, do so well played coming from them. And also, not to mention, this end clip right here doesn't even tell the full story. Seti goes down in that mid-game, and Cami clutches up 1v2, which probably has so many eliminations coming into this. And then to close it out here, just 2 separate solos, and they make easy work of them.
It was right around the start of Zone 8 that we saw Cami just sweep Queasy completely off guard there on the flanks. It didn't seem as though Queasy was fully aware of the fact, because there were so many teams trying to challenge that high ground at once, but it was Cami and Seti who actually successfully walked away with it, and they just had so many builds. That vertical play throughout the entirety of 8th and 9th zone, there was just nothing anyone else could do about it.
And the thing that I love, right, is we came into this game and we're like, who's going to be nervous, who's going to be confident? I have never been able to tell that somebody is confident. After winning game number 1 of an invitational, it seemed like there was like no expression coming out of Cami and Seti. There was like, yeah, that's expected.
That's what they're used to, right? That's how they won the most recent DreamHack. This is almost like, it's like their life is on repeat. But this time, instead of DreamHack, it's FNCS Invitational, right? I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. We saw a lot of like self-regional eliminations, right? EU eliminating EU, NA eliminating NA. It was kind of crazy. I'm surprised there wasn't more, I guess, intermingling.
Big battles going on here, and it's really close towards the top of this leaderboard. Of course, Cami and Seti finding themselves at the top. They're getting that victory royale, securing 44 points. The early lead after game number 1, but NA West also representing here, going down in that third place position, getting 42 points on the back of so many eliminations.
But it was actually the 4th place position. Noah Riley, Bat Sniper, they're walking away with 8 elims. That is a good chunk of points that they were able to compensate for, despite not being able to close things out. And I think ultimately we saw in the first 3 zones a little bit more EU heavy as far as the elim fee was concerned. But by the time we hit that mid game, it seemed as though all of NA and some of the international regions just really started to hit their stride, because everything just started lighting up immediately.
A lot of these players, right, they're using this initial game as a kind of a feeler, right? Let's just kind of see how this all works and everyone the land looks like, and then we'll look to go ahead and fight back. But real quick, we have a mini miner standing by. What you got for us?
Thank you so much, Zeke. Now, we want to be taking a deep dive into one of our duos that have been deep diving into the dead side of Zone. And to reveal this massive screen right behind me, we're going to be talking, of course, about Commandment and Avery, our reigning NA East FNCS champions. We can see them on the screen right there, the little white arrows, and they've made a really, really interesting rotate this game. We can see the path that they are going to take, using all the way on that dead side of Zone. Now, you might be wondering, what is the benefits of dead side? Now, you can see on the map, loads of those little arrows are on this side of Zone, right? And this is the area that most teams are going to be at, because most of the POIs are going to be rotating into there. We can see Commandment and Avery using the sort of the mid-map rotation, right? You can see the in-game rotation devices, you can see the launch pads being used, you can see the balloons, and of course, you can see the slipstreams as well, and you can see them getting to this less congested side of Zone. Nobody's there. What's going on? They have a free rotation, but of course, this comes with some problems, right? We saw them struggling with Surge in that previous game. It didn't quite work out the way that they were expecting. They weren't able to find as many players as they could, so the benefits for them are, of course, they're on the less congested side of Zone. They don't see anyone, but that also has implications. You don't get the damage done, and you could see that in the last game. They were struggling for tags. Of course, we saw King and Ed doing the exact same thing, but they were able to find as many eliminations and as many tags as they possibly could, which kept them afloat. Unfortunately for Commandment and Avery, though, it didn't quite work out. I've got so many questions to ask, and who better to ask them themselves? Kelly, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mini Money. Joining me right now, I have Commandment and Avery. And Avery, I gotta ask you, man, how do you feel about it? Game number 1.
Surge was pretty rough. We had to run through Haller's shield pretty early, so we died on half zone. But we still managed to get 8 points for first game, just testing the grounds.
Well, good luck in that next game, guys. I'm sure you're going to be doing a lot better. I'm going to be joining over here Acorn and Edgy, guys. That second place finish, what was going through your mind once you had that solo run?
I mean, honestly, it was all Acorn. Like, I didn't even do anything, to be honest. He's just the best player in the world.
Yeah, man, what was going through your mind?
I know I had chromes, and I was like, I'm 100% going to get top 2 here. No, I was confident, and it went my way.
I love it. Congratulations, guys. You have a great start to the competition. Let's head on back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Kelly, and of course, Mini Minor, and shout outs to the players. That was just game number 1. Now, this looks a little deceiving, right? For a moment, we celebrated Cammy and Seti. We think, okay, they got the victory royale, big deal. However, Acorn there, it's okay. They didn't get the victory royale, but that's not what they needed, right? They just needed to place high.
Yeah, of course. You know, Acorn, you can hear that Edgy right there. Best player in the world. Love that confidence coming out of the teammate. But again, you know, one of those solo clutches that we kind of saw was from Cool and Yumi. I think it was Cool specifically getting into that endgame, securing that 3rd place position. And we could saw at one point in time, he was like in that 1v2 situation in that box fight. And he comes out on top and just transitions that all the way towards that 3rd place position.
You don't become FNCS champions without having this kind of a collective measure when it comes to your mental discipline inside these box fights. And not to mention the fact that they also had 7 elims to boot to close this one out. So not only are they placing high, but they're also making sure to capitalize on those elims as well. And it is everything when you're able to try and establish these early leads, because this is a very competitive lobby. And I think, if anything, game 1 is only amped me up even more to see what these players are going to do.
Yeah, the individual performances coming out, and that's what matters so much on these stages. You know, we saw last season on the NA East region, Kamim is the one that won it with his solo clutch, so every single solo performance matters tenfold.
That's right. I want to take a look at our standings once again. And again, don't freak out. This is just game number 1. This is our feeler game, right? From here, we make adjustments and we make the changes we need to succeed. Cammy and Seti, they did win game number 1. But with only 6 eliminations, they're currently sitting at the 44 points. As we kind of start to go top to bottom, you know, we did watch Queasy and Vino. They did try and take height. But I'm curious as to, like, what you feel kind of happened. How did that all unfold? The height take looked good, but something went wrong.
So we knew this was coming, right? We knew Queasy and Vino were going for the high ground, and they had it going into that first moving zone. And then all of a sudden we were checking it out. You know, Runa and Pepper are all of a sudden on the higher ground, and Queasy and Vino are like, all right, fine, we'll give it up. And then, like, 5 seconds later, I look back up, and Queasy and Vino are back on height. So, you know, they had the strategy there.
However, we need your help, everyone, because our battle bus is out of gas, and we power it with hype. So
keep going. Fantastic. You look beautiful out there. It's time for game.
Acorn clutching it up by himself as a solo. Cool and Yumi from NA West. But you got to give it up to EU, Cammy and Seti taking that top spot, and they're really putting the lobby on.
What they were able to do there, and again, that is what makes this all worth it. That is why we tune in for these moments.
Yeah, but that was just game number 1. I'm pretty sure with game number 2 right around the corner, the nerves are beginning to settle. The players have figured out how the lobby is going to be. And one of the things I've noticed after that first game, everybody is stingy with Storm Surge damage.
That's right. But listen.
and now they have to double adapt. Not just adapt to their own meta and the way they're used to playing Storm Surge, but how other duos ahead of them, next to them, behind them, may be doing the same thing.
Every single time in front of them, we have like a set lobby over the course of X amount of games. Game 1 is always the most stacked, and we saw it right there. It was like the flip of a coin. All of a sudden, the lobby, the amount of players left alive just crashed instantly because so many of them needed to fight for it. But one thing that I did see in that early game right there, a lot of balloons are being used. A lot of the players poison themselves all the way up there in the sky, then using those ammo assault rifles primarily to get tags in the early game. And then anybody that wasn't really doing that, unfortunately, just had to force a fight later on in the game. Like, for example, we saw Epic Whale and Rico down because of one of those fights.
Look, it might have been Cammy and Seti that actually closed out the lobby, but it was Muzz and Looter who got the action going for us, because we did see a decent amount of hesitation. It's kind of expected, I think. Game number 1 here at the FNCS Invitational. Nobody wants to be the first one out, but unfortunately, for Smite and Larson, that was the case because Looter and Muzz actually winning out the immediate trade, and this is one of the POIs that we touched on at the start because we knew that Grim Gables is going to be popping. We knew that Muzz and Looter have the experience to tango with the other regions.
You want to know something? This is what I love because, you know, we're talking about how some of these all-spawn situations are going to go down. And, you know, I was talking with some of the other analysts, and Taco included, and Muzz and Looter was like, you know, I think this might actually, you know, play into their favor being contested all-spawn because, you know, Looter himself said NA East has been way harder than OCE. He thinks there's a lot more talent over here. And then Storm Surge was one of the things that he was most worried about. So the fact that they ended up being contested and that game...
A bit of a heartbreaking moment because when a duo that hasn't even naturally been practicing this off-spawn situation up until recently challenges you and beats you. iDrop said it himself in the pregame interview. I've been dropping here uncontested for the past year. It's not going to change the outcome, and yet we're witnessing the downfall of iDrop and Mr. Savage.
Yeah, and honestly, shout out to On1 right there because, you know, the discipline, right? Sometimes when you go to clear buildings, you're kind of just running down the staircase or running through corridors, and you're just like, I'll be fine. I don't hear him. I haven't seen him here. But no, he actually pre-builds off the wall, the floor. He catches Savage trying to go for a sneaky little shot, and Savage at that point is just kind of caught in this box, and On1 cleans it up after placing that wall to make sure Savage can't get any control over any of those builds. So really well played from On1 for sure.
And something that's also worth considering, I think, for Mr. Savage and iDrop now is you have to remember when you have so much information out there on how you like to drop, loot, and land this spot, like what we witnessed from this duo, I think that that is pertinent information because I would be very surprised if On1 and Vaca haven't been utilizing a lot of VOD review to their favor leading into this.
Yeah, I mean, iDrop himself said he's been laying here for 12 months, so there is a lot out there on it.
Yeah.
Now the question is, do we get the repeat of this again? Will we watch this happen again? Do we think they're going to change something up? Do they feel now like they have no choice? They have to try to take this fight.
You know, I think that, you know, the players, especially up there, they are pretty set on going for the fight. So I think we're just going to see a fight happen again. But, you know, game 1 jitters are kind of out of the way. If you get eliminated early in a game, you kind of can just sit there, right? You can mentally reset. You know, obviously some of it's going to start to wear down on your mental a little bit, but, you know, you can full reset, maybe come up with a new strategy with your duo, kind of talk to them in that meantime. You pretty much had that whole game to talk strategy and kind of, you know, mention what went wrong, you think.
Exactly. It's not the end of the world by any means because we are literally only 1 game through. We still have 5 left to go. There is ample opportunity here, not just for the players to have a chance to, I think, boost their placement points on the leaderboard, but also it's just the simple fact that they can make the tiny adjustments that they need to. As far as iDrop and Mr. Savage are concerned, now I think they're a lot more wary of the fact that On1 and Baca, they're definitely willing to take a super early engagement. They don't care about the fact that it's the first 3 zones. Both of these duos, I think, are going to continue trying to look to establish their surge management early on.
And I love the terminology used right there, more aware, right? Because, you know, again, On1 just recently decided to land here like 2 days ago. So it's like, whoa, for Mr. Savage and iDrop. We had no idea. There's no information because this duo hasn't really landed here before. But now, game 1, the information is starting to reveal itself. On1 is obviously, you know, leaking some of those things just naturally as he plays through the games. And we know that Savage and iDrop are very well experienced, so they should be able to turn that into something positive.
Yeah, it's not kind of like the one beats all, right? There is going to be this back and forth that continues to develop. And it's kind of what we talked about like at the beginning of the show, is that adaptability factor. How many duos could just say, okay, this went wrong, let's go ahead and change these things so that doesn't happen again, right? Fortnite is primarily a game of what you would call RNG, right? You landed a POI, what's there? Where are the chests? Where's the guns? Where's the builds? And for these duos, they're trying to limit as much of that as possible, right? They want to find that spot. Hey, I know there's a gun here every time. I know if I hit this building as I open this door, pick up this thing, I'll have 10 builds. It's a wall I can use to defend myself if I'm jumped, right? So I'm excited to see how in Game 2, a lot of these duos look to say, what do we got to do differently?
Well, for Beppo and Runa, I was actually very happy to see that they were the ones that initially started off at that Lustrous Lagoon. And again, that was an uncontested draw spot for them. You're talking about loot, you're talking about resources, Zeke, and there is ample of it at Lustrous Lagoon. A lot of these players have even been talking about the fact that it's kind of crazy that they have gone this entire time leading up to the event without anyone wanting to establish an immediate contest at that POI. So I like the fact that they were able to hang in that top 10 leaderboard as well, really representing their region, I think, excellently there, because the fact is there was a lot of traffic coming their way due to the way that the zones ended up pulling towards that north side. So the fact that they were able to not only stay in that surge management position despite being uncontested, but they also just made do with what they were given there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to see that they actually also took the high ground from none other than Queasy and Vito in that endgame. Ultimately, yeah, they did end up losing it, but I want to see more of that, right? Just because you lost it just this one game, you may have a very good strategy that takes out, something that Queasy and Vino aren't used to, and that's kind of that multi-regional invitational that is just so good, and all the strategies start to come out and catch players by surprise.
You'll love to see it. This is just kind of our insights here from the desk, but we also have Mini Miner standing by to get his thoughts on that game.
Absolutely, Zeke. It's not just me, it's Takata alongside me as well. Now, we've been watching all of this action unfold behind the scenes. We've been able to see some extra POVs, Takata. It's been intense, right? We've seen some crazy plays.
Look, players from all around the world, it's what I love to see these players shine, right? Zagu and Miram, they were fragging out, Mini. They got, almost 8 eliminations in that match. Even players from the West Coast, Cool and Yumi, they were also popping off in that late game. And what's going on with Seti and Cammy up in the clouds, right? We never seen them up there, right? Playing up top, it's something that you love to see in Game 1 of an international event like this.
And this is what the invitation is all about, right? We have so many different players from so many different regions bring different strategies, but it can all change. As we talked about earlier, things can change so quickly. Cammy and Seti on the high ground. What's going on? This is crazy. But of course, Cool and Yumi as well, you mentioned it, right? I had a few questions to ask about their surge. I actually spoke to them in person in the player area, and they said, we have all the answers, Mini Miner. Don't worry, don't be concerned. And I was like, mate, carry on. You do it, mate, if that's what they're going to do. And they're pulling out all the stops today.
I mean, they proved it, right? The way they played that late game, they were ready to dominate. But I mean, Seti, Cammy up top, I think that was more of like a situational thing, right? We had Queasy Vino earlier up top on the high ground, but then Seti and Cammy saw the opportunity and they striked, right? I don't think it's going to be an every game type scenario for this duo. We know they like the consistency, so I wouldn't, be surprised if they switch it up a bit, but I'm excited to see what they continue to do.
I am very excited as well. I'm sure as are the devs. Let's throw it back to them to see what they think.
You got a good laugh out of our boy Vivid here. I'm down. I'm not opposed. Yeah, you chuckled. That was pretty good. Another duo I did want to take a moment to highlight on screen right now, Zagu and Miram, coming out of Japan. These guys were just looking so good. 7 eliminations there in that game with a 41 total point. Now, this is just out of Game 1. And, I mean, consider we kind of talked about it. They're contesting Commandment and Avery over at Rave Cave. And they were allowed to leave Rave Cave.
Yeah, 100%. I think that that's pretty much what we can expect. But something that I did not expect, and my eyebrows, they went up, right? I raised them. That stat sheet right there. They did 2,200 plus damage this game. That is incredible. You can see it right here. A lot of it coming from this end game, actually picking up a plethora of eliminations. Their box fighting skills seem to be catching a lot of these players off guard in the game. Woo, look at that.
Absolutely crispy and cooking inside of these boxes. It's looking like a full-on barbecue right now with Zagu and Miram, the way that they were just lighting it up inside of that low ground congestion. Not only that, but I just love seeing how poised they are after that finish. They have not lost sight by any means. They know exactly what's on the line here as far as regional representation is concerned, and you absolutely love to just see that energy kind of be reflected in their gameplay.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you mentioned energy. I've been seeing them walk around the player lounge,
everything like that. You know, the walkouts, they always seem so happy, right? They're so happy to be here, and they seem confident as well. There's never really like a, you know, oh, we're worried to be here. No, they're just fully embracing it, and we can see it right there in game number 1. They came on top pretty much.
When you have performances like that, I can imagine why they're so confident. Because again, I think a lot of duos may not have necessarily been anticipating some of this aggression that we are witnessing right now in Game 1 from the other international regions. But at the very least, I do expect a little bit of a bite back from NA East, West, and EU.
I think for me, I'm looking forward to seeing how many more duels try to go for height, right? For in this instance, Zagum Rim, they were just in that mid ground. They didn't even care about high ground. They're like, exactly. No, you guys battled out. We want more eliminations. We'll stay right here. Do you guys think that maybe more duels will look to just say, like, look, our kind of strategy to win is that high ground. We got to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. We saw a lot of teams that actually like to play the high ground. Unfortunately, not making it into the game. They went down a little bit early. Like, for example, Aquan Reason, Jason and Chabix also went down. Another one, Alex and Bailey, we talked about them from OCE. They love to play the high ground, and they just, all 3 of them went down a little bit early, so it could change big time. You know, we also saw Kanata went down a little bit early. Macwood loves to play the high ground coming out of NA East. Pretty much the only thing that he shies for, but being left as a solo, he couldn't really do that this game.
But just look at some of these names that are located on the second page already for the leaderboard. You got Thomas HD at Trippard, Pink and Anas. Again, I think Vico and Benign have been really exciting to kind of follow along with, especially since they're relatively newly formed here for the FNCS Invitational. I don't think that is an easy feat by any means to have to quickly adapt to your partner.
100%. And listen, I can't believe it, actually, because Clix and Duke were actually popping off towards that end game, right? And, you know, the crowd was going crazy. We on the desk were like, wow, they're really showing up right now. And, you know, on that leaderboard, it's really showing as well, finding those eliminations on big name teams as well. They're coming into the Invitational with the experience, and it's showing.
How many of these duos are thinking themselves, game 2, I'm ready. I have that strategy locked in. I think I know what I need to do to get going, because I want to make the crowd here in the Raleigh Convention Center just lose their mind when we're taking shots. Because, man, there was some eliminations happening, and I was just on my feet screaming with the crowd.
You know, straight up, ultimately, it's going to be based on an individual level, I think. You know, how good are you, and how good is your mental at taking something that could be negative and turning it into something positive? Because, you know, not everything went right for any duo that game, so they have to think about those things and like, okay, what can we do? What have we scrimmed before that has kind of helped us throughout these situations? Just make those changes come into game number 2. But there's also duos, plenty of them, especially the top 10 on the leaderboard, who, you know, found things that worked for them. So keep doing those things, but again, not everything went perfect, so keep that in mind.
But nerves aside, as the games go on, it's going to start feeling more and more natural, I think, for a lot of these players. You're going 100%. To start being able to focus in a lot more on the actual gameplay itself, and I think that's where the audience just becomes a little bit of background noise until it comes down to those final moments. But something that I'm really curious to see is whether or not these players are actually going to showcase some of their flexibility or adaptability, because Merstash Malabuka, I think they're a great example of a duo where they can go a game or 2 or 3 without really being able to catch anything, and then they just turn up.
That's right. We've heard from us. We've heard from Mini Minor and Tokata. Let's throw it on over to casters to hear their thoughts on game number 1.
Thank you so much for that quick, of course, toss there so we can start getting into our perspective here. I mean, Jacob, let's talk about what we know just coming out of game 1.
Yeah, I mean, what we know, NA West, Cool and Yumi showing up big. Not only getting that 3rd place finish, but you saw that 2v1 off the back of Cool. Another thing, Acorn, NA in general just kind of showing up. Obviously, EU won the game, but I think we need to start giving NA more credit.
Yeah, definitely have to give them that credit. They show up and then wait for them to win those early engagements. Yep. I mean, listen, we got to sit in the player lounge, quite literally stand over the shoulders of Anwan and Baka while they were practicing. They took on the likes. You know who they're training against?
Who are they training?
Reeds and Epic Whale. That's their training partners. And I don't know about you, but if you were following Twitter, I posted a little clip of Reed taking on Merstash and Malabuka. So it kind of all ties together if Merstash and Malabuka are known as some of the greats. And then Anwan and Baka could hold their toe-to-toe with someone like Reed. I mean, it all just starts to make sense.
You know what I'm loving out of all that, though? You talked about the 2 partners, right? Anwan and Baka, and who they're sparring against, Reed and Epic Whale. That's NA West. That's NA West showing each other some love. I talked about a lot of these guys being friends, but when they're on the battlefield, they're enemies. That is just inner region training, and that's something I love to see.
That's right, and of course the upsets, right? We saw a couple edge battles there. Bugha and Miro taken out so early. This is one of the things we didn't really get to talk about. You would think that a team like Bugha and Miro, who have drilled and trained their drop spot so perfectly, they almost have it conditioned, this should be another walk in the park situation for them. What do you think went wrong as they were rotating out? Because it seems like they face planted into Macwood and Kanata. That was the big resistance, and they were just taken out.
You know, without seeing too much of their POV, I can only go off a few educated guesses here, and just judging by 95 players being alive when Storm Surge hit, I think they were one of the few teams that were having problems dealing with that. And that's one of the things that I said in an interview before this event, that Storm Surge is going to be hard for these players to deal with, because the players that are above Storm Surge, they can hide in a box, they can focus on those rotations, but the ones that are below, they have to fight outside of Storm. They have to fight the first person they see in that first moment, because you can't continually falling down on that damage.
That's right. Well, listen, that's our perspectives here. We have so much more in store.
Thank you guys so much for those insights. We actually have a really cool moment here. The casters kind of talked about Bugha and Miro going down earlier. We had a listen-in moment. Let's take a look.
We need to find extra heals somehow. You should pop cabbage maybe for whites. I need to heal. Unless you throw me a mini now.
Yeah, come. I'll throw like right there.
Search, yeah. I want that big ammo crate, but I know they're just gonna get above us.
I mean, I think you can go for it. There's a chest there as well. It's definitely worth it with our loot. It's just glid off the thing.
Minis, yeah.
If we get surge here, we can get enough.
I mean, make sure this isn't baited, bro. It's not. Here, we can get stacked, bro. I'm chilling. If we get surge, we sit in zone, bro. We should look.
Yeah, like where though? We'd have to follow right side.
Yeah, like, we have to go right side. I'm just gonna go up. Nah, we should bunt.
Alright.
You can already tell. Even Bugha and Miro are like, hey, we need Storm Surge. We need to make sure this is right. It is absolutely affecting many of these players. We will come back and talk about more of this in just a moment. First, I do want to throw it on over to the player area for a little special interview.
We have a very special interview, Zeke. I'm here with one of our alternate players, Frey. Now, Frey, you've been watching in the crowd, right? What's the energy like? How does it feel?
The crowd is amazing. I'm so happy that we have Leanza back. The crowd couldn't be crazier. It's so awesome to be here.
Yeah, we can hear them just there in the background as well. They're getting kind of crazy, right? So, of course, you're a professional player yourself. How would you prepare for an event like this? How do you think the players and what's been sort of going through their minds?
So I think bot viewing is extremely important. You need to know who's landing around you, what they do, what their tendencies are. And yeah, just bot view, fix your mistakes coming up to the event, and then just play your game.
Of course, you can give a big insight into the game as well. For a lot of these players, you can sort of, give your insight, maybe to talk to them as well. But we'll stop it right there. We'll throw it back to the desk for some more.
Thank you guys so much. Raleigh Convention Center, you guys ready? Because game number 2 is about to make its way here, so let's make some noise. It's game time. This is the FNCS Invitational 2022 coming at you guys live. Are you two ready?
Yes. Yes. Beyond ready, beyond excited. I think that more than anything else, this game number 2 could really be a little bit of a breakaway moment here for some of these duos. Cammy and Shetty in particular, they are definitely looking for another highlight reel instance. And whether it comes from Victory Royale or just from being able to rack up those elims, I think that the Polish powerhouse is certainly still making it known that they are some of the best.
Champions are on the stage, right?
I was
Game number 2 is, this is where you got to start picking it up. You got to start developing your strategies around the meta of the lobby. And, who better to do it than the 100 of the best players from around all of the world.
Look at them zeroing in right now, Vivid. They are so amped. They are focused. The tension is real.
The tension is beyond real, and not only that, but I kind of want to touch on Bugha and Miro. We saw that little listen-in instance between the two of them, and were it any other duo, I think there might be some room for concern, but Bugha and Miro, I think, are an exclusive case, because Miro specifically, this guy is a 5 times FNCS champion, And yet, out of all the FNCS finals that he has competed in, he has only ever collected 3 victory royales.
Wow.
So it is a primary example of the fact that high ground can win games, but low ground could possibly win championships. And that moment in game number 1, while it wasn't able to go in their favor because they were struggling with surge management along with some of the other duos, again, they're able to make it happen.
All right. We've broken it all down. We had game 1 wrapped up. It's gone. Game 2 is here. It's now. The battle bus is ready. The players are on board. Let's just get this started.
Here we have it. Thank you so much, Zeke. We get to start gearing up for this battle bus to take off now.
Yeah, this is finally setting in for a lot of these players on the stage. Game number 2 is starting right now, and hopefully all those nerves from the end of game number 1 have settled, because now when push comes to shove, some of these players that might be at the bottom of the leaderboard, Mr. Savage, iDrop, that went down early, they might have to start dealing with that storm surge early.
And that's right. We saw what happened in game 1. The real question is, how are you going to adjust coming into game 2? This battle bus is telling me that the Chrome Jam Junction is under fire very quickly. It's so close to the drop spawn. You can see already things kick off. This time, iDrop says, you know what? Let's put that weight, in my experience, on my back. Savage takes down Baka, and all of a sudden, it's a different tale to be told.
Happy birthday, Mr. Savage. First elimination here in game number 2, and that puts On1 on notice. You gotta have to watch out, because we're here to fight. That first one might have been a little lucky, but another one, this one, I feel like has to have a little bit more damage, because all 3 of these players, Monster, they were dealing with Storm Surge, and they were just on the cusp. Some were even below.
This is not the only contested draw spot. Don't forget, Tilted Towers has so much going down there as well. So between Cloudy Condos and Tilted Towers, these are the 2 most contested drop spots. And what I saw there is Acorn and Edgy in the feed find Noah Ryler early. So there are big fights unfolding already, just giving us a little sample of how these drops are playing out.
Yeah, you can kind of see everybody just on their drop spot. The ones that don't necessarily have the POI, it's about looting up, getting as much resources as possible, trying to get as many metal and brick as you can in terms. That way, when you make it towards the end game, that way you don't have to worry about it. But for these teams that are also on the outskirts and talk about looting up, you have to start thinking about Storm Surge. Your pathing is going to be so important, because we saw how many teams went down to the Surge itself.
Here is Poland's finest game 1 winners from Becoming Legends, Cetis and Cammy. This team here has placed top 10 in every finals they have ever competed with together. But wait a second, hold that thought. And Ascent Pink here on the other side of the Joneses. This is a fight that's being extended out. The last time we were here, Clix found an elimination with Duke. They actually held it off. Remember when we talked to Reet and Epic Whale, they said, hey, you know what? I believe in the fighting power of NA on this one. They have full confidence that they can do it.
Yeah.
Pink and Anas have to jump back.
Yeah, and you got to think back to that NA East Finals where Clix solo points after solo points, but as long as these 2 guys stay alive, they're going to be contenders for every single tournament they play in. Duke has FNCS champion in trios. Clix is one of the best individual players on the planet.
We have a huge opportunity here for Duke and Clix to continue to put up big numbers. We know they had an excellent kickoff to things here as they continue to find their strides, but things are going to slow down, and you know, you really genuinely expect this to happen, especially at a Fort Jonesies. This is not a POI big enough for 2.
Yep, you see Clix just trying to gather the information. The longer this fight goes and the higher they build, if it comes to it. You got Jason Basil over on the side. Those are the third parties that we saw towards the early of last game. This is Nas Pink trying to get deep into the box. That Evo Chrome Burst AR. We saw how much damage it does to these builds, and it eats through in a second.
More importantly, if you can find a tag, just
big.
like that, Pink and Anas already turning this story on its head here. That's bait there. He sees the shotgun. That moment, Duke does not let it drop. Now, mind you, Clix has some of the greatest track record in history of taking on head-to-head battles like this. This is why he is so recognized as one of the greats of the space in these kind of moments.
This is where these guys, 66% of their overall victory royales do come from the low ground. the Pink and Nas, they're just trying to keep a little bit of elevation. They're not ultimate high ground, 3-4 boxes big. They're just trying to keep that advantageous position as long as they can. But this monster, this one's dragging out a little too long. Do you think there's going to come a point in time where they just kind of abandon and try to get to the zone?
Well, I hope it continues because the rest of the lobby is just taking their time. 49 duos are still alive here, and this is one of the only ones deciding to go toe-to-toe. Clicks, once again, gets tagged there. And again, let's talk about the bad blood developing between these two. Pink and Clicks were once upon a time almost duos, as Pink was so close to traveling to United States to play alongside them, but now they find each other on the other sides of the monitor here, going head-to-head. And I mean, looking at the HP so far, it's looking very good for Gills and Ass and Tundra's Pink.
Yeah, and honestly, let's talk about this prolonged fight and what happens if they do actually split right now. They're not going to have a lot of time to go ahead and mat up, but a big shot coming out from Clicks. We know what happens when this man has his back against the wall. His bite is much louder than his bark.
This is where Duke does tend to shine right now, these real scrappy types of engagements. This man does not tend to miss a shot. As now, they're looking. They know the enemies felt that on the other side of the wall, but hey, the longer they stay here, the less the less odds they have to actually survive. The longer story is, of course, making it to endgame. Let's jump on over, though, to our favorites of Miro and Bugha here. Head-to-head with Z Andy, Joe FN, Bevy in the distance as well. There's so much going on here.
Yeah, for them, we saw that replay of last game during the listen-in. They were just dealing with Storm Surge in not the best way. Even though they were about 50 above, that's not the position you want to be in. But you can see Bugha and Mero have a 60-plus win rate when contested. So they just need to find their rhythm here on this international stage.
Talking about international stage, Alex and Bailey, they have taken us from the player lounge to the main stage. Game 2 now, the fight, the second time. The story won't be the same. It's Yusri who finds the trade there, and now has to protect his teammate. A huge shot onto Bailey. It's not looking good for Oceania's champions here, but Bailey waits for the toe-to-toe. He gets the thirst, he needs the points. That's a kind of play you only see in person. A huge shot. Bailey says, respect me, Yusri, back up.
He has some heals to use, but does he have the time? Not finding a way to stabilize. Bailey's going to get in, but only a sliver of HP, and that's why he's picking and choosing his fights right now. He's just going for piece control first, trying to heal up, getting as much shield as he can, but you can see he has no HP to regain, so that knock on the Jew is so important.
And he knows he cannot allow him to get the heal off here. You will not save your teammate if it's up to Bailey. Yusri may have the health advantage, but Yusri has his back against the wall right now. The defensive trade, a huge shot, and Bailey gets caught with his pickaxe out. Yusri clutches up, saves his
to the lobby, but third place, NA West, Cool Yumi getting busy already. Elimination on the Wax. Now it's up to Rob Bob, trying to stay alive here, trying to get and find a position to where he can hide. You see it in the mini-map. He just got out, and I love that play coming out from some of these players, choosing not to be the hero, because you end up in the hero in the wrong position, you're end up going to be a zero.
Now, Robot doesn't have a lot of experience here. They've only made 2 finals together between Wax and Robot, but there's a huge development happening here. Let's watch this back one more time. Here's how it kicks off. Cool finds the huge tag. All of a sudden, the knock is there. And yes, there was a third party in the side. You get the reaction as well. You can see how fans are cheering in support of one another. But back into the action. Hellfire, Falconer, new duo, pairing up with one another.
They already took down King, so this has got to be Ed coming out from Brazil. EU, NA West, trying to take down the region, trying to bolster their points, because right now the only points they have is that elimination onto King. But with Storm now covering and moving over them, Ultimate Teams now in the distance as well, it's going to become more and more dangerous.
Falconer's one of the only competitors, one of the very few left in our scene that has been here since the World Cup. He placed 5th in duos way back when. Wait for him to step up to the challenge and take on this first FNCS Finals ever together alongside Hellfire there from Denmark. But on one Mbaka, did they get the save off?
No, I think On was there by himself. He's just trying to stay alive, and it does look like Larson and Smite might know he's there. And this is where On1 has to be very, very careful. Fighting in the storm with very little HP. Larson knocking on the door, trying to burst his ways in. You see the bait and switch come through, trying to make sure that both of these players have enough HP to take a big shot from On1 and continue that bait and switch, but he is on the run.
What a tough story for On1 and Baka. Such a great and strong showing in game one. He loses his teammate to Mr. Savage out the gate, survives, saves them, but Smite and Larson, who are contested here by Looter and Muzz, are still in the zone, and they meet him, and that's how they get this first elim. So it's only a matter of time now as their clock rages on. Smite steps up. There it is, the zone does the rest, and they will find their second elim now, wiping up one of the greats from NA West.
Now they got to go ahead and travel to zone, but back on board, Falconer and Hellfire, but let's just make it Hellfire because Ed was able to take down Falconer in a 1v2 situation. Now he's 1v1 versus EU. Brazil trying to stand up tall. Ed put the pressure onto those covers, but he knows when to pick and choose his fights. He hears the splashes coming out. He knows that's going on to Falconer. The shield keg as well. He's trying to stop as much of the heals from going through, but it does look like Hellfire is going to get 200 yet again.
Listen, Ed recently signed a team Liquid, showing you guys why exactly he deserves to be here. He has had some of the most impressive rises in recent times on his region, but now he's looking to represent for Brazil. And of course for Argentina, his teammate King, who is already down. Hellfire manages to lose his teammate. The wall gets taken, and Hellfire has to react quickly, but look at that. He does not miss a beat. Ed finds the siphon, and now it's an even exchange.
Yep. Right now, the two launch pads on the Hellfire. He can abandon this fight at a moment's notice.
Here it is.
Ed with no HP, it's all or nothing. This is the moment you've been waiting for.
Here it is.
Coming through, and Ed 1v2s NAEs.
Brazil and Argentina are probably standing on their feet right now. Ed clutches up a 1v2.
Oh my gosh, and if somehow, some way, he found a way to get King's card, but they've gone over to Chonker Speedway. The action will continue. Reason and Aqua going up against Hen and Bevy and Vortexers. They have a lot of practice going against each other on the EU region, so this is no strange fight to them.
What's scary about this is the fact that they've rotated out of the condo down to the territory of Booga and Miro at Chonker Speedway, and yes, they get met with this incredible duo, but it shows you that no one is safe. This entire area is such a deadly play zone, and now you have Reason with the scraps, with his back against the wall, below the Storm Surge, absolutely ready to commit to this battle.
Yep, Aqua and Reason, again, 140 below the damage threshold. And you can see all the players at the top of the damage threshold, but this is, again, what is going to happen at Cloudy Condos. A triple contested spot, but nobody is fighting. That's forcing these players to rotate away to find some extra loot and find the damage. And 165 below, Monster, I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't nervous.
Copenhagen Flames, Pablo and Swag on your screen right now, also below, but hey, a good little tag here of elim for Swag right now, puts him in a nice position. They find a player out in the distance. Snacky and Fast have a window open there, focusing on the duo as well. So they're all looking to target Noah Riley and Bad Sniper. Remember, Noah Riley was eliminated very early to the hands of Edgy while they were landing, and he didn't even get to touch down before he was swatted out the sky.
And game number one winners, Cammy and Seti. They haven't even done much. They get the zone for now. They get the high ground, probably just trying to go for Surge. So that way when they are forced to rotate, they only have to worry about that. But we knew they were down onto Surge. Now the Peace Control is trying to come over. They're trying to break into the boxes. It's now or never because damage is being dished. A huge shot from Aqua's onto Bevy, who's forced back into a defensive position.
Well, here we go. It's now enough in 20 seconds left before the Surge gets active, and they have to turn up right now. This is game number 2. Aqua needs these points here. Bevy's manages to go ahead and chug splash his way down. He's back up to max HP. He's looking pretty solid, but Aqua not afraid by any means. Meanwhile, Reason finds a wall. That's an angle, but he doesn't like the defensive edit that responds from Bevy and Vortexer. And now, here it is. Things are going to get dicey as the Storm Surge turns on.
Yeah, look at them. You see the 30 below. Even though they're continuously dropping, they're doing damage. Seti getting one on a Peppo, probably sending him back to the lobby. As Scram goes down as well. Acorn found a way to get rebooted, but Deja Vu strikes. He goes down again to Epic Whale, who honestly is having a much better performance this go around.
But back into the action here. Reason now down to no HP. Aqua is also on the defensive stance here. Down goes Reason. That's a huge shotgun shot from Vortexer from the side. If you blinked, you missed it, and now Aqua has all the pressure on his shoulders. He has to back up. But Vortexer playing smart, respecting the GOAT of EU. Aqua here, our World Cup
duo champion is now left as a solo. Clock's ticking here, the pressure comes in, Bevy's looking for any angle. These are all enemy walls here. One false move and it could be it, but the surge is gonna hurt Aqua again. He gets to heal off and no, he gets finished. Vortexer finds the second.
500 above the damage threshold. This is only their second FNCS playing together, and they're looking like they are longtime teammates already as Joe and Z Andy, uncontested, over towards Synapse Station, looking to get some damage as well. Even though 79 is above the damage threshold, you know as well as I do, that is absolutely nothing.
Vixen and Arctor here. Oh no, they're gonna find a huge elimination here. Another surge fight that's going down, and it's attracting the flies in the distance there. You see folks starting to look over. Arctor has a decision to make. Does he push in again? They barely have anything. They've used all their heals. One tag is all it's going to take for take them out. Grove claps back, though, and that's a huge punishment there. And with the downed body, he says, you know what? I'm going to full finish here. I'm back in this game. Arctor takes off running for the hills.
That was a much needed battle by Groves, and I like to play again. You cannot be a hero in these lobbies as Mustache. Looking like he's having a little bit of trouble here. 202 above the damage threshold. Two eliminations already, so they finished this fight, but you can see the teams on the outskirts of Rocky Reels, they don't want to let this be an easy rotation to one of the deadliest teams in the lobby.
The launch pad's already down. Malibu and Mustache cap off HP and hit it. Off they go. It's Chicho and Trulix who are looking in. These guys have gone head-to-head so many times in the past, and you know there is all types of bad stories waiting to unfold in front of us. But Chicho and Trulix don't get the elim. They manage to hit the ground running. Malibu and Mustache are waiting here, though. Oh, yeah. Trying to fight back.
Malibu just trying to break through. He talked about in some of those interviews playing a little bit more passive than what he's used to. 2 eliminations. I gotta think they're trying to pick and choose a lot of their battles, but the lobby is putting such a focus onto these two, getting them to expend so many resources. Malabuka has just about 60 to 70 HP as well. Mustache is trying to do what he can to try to find a stabilization method here, but it's just happening from so many different players who have so many different angles.
One thing that is working, though, is the zone. It pulls pretty close to all the players nearby. Finally, things settle down. Tayson and Chapix last game found the same duo on the edge, but let's jump on over to the west side. Let's get to the opposite side. It's Thomas HD and Tripburn. What a great standing so far here, looking pretty solid. They have Janice and Vidil weakened nearby. Booga and Miro are also making it much further this game, looking like they've adjusted, learned from their last mistakes, but here we go, that familiar story, 3 above.
Yeah, and you can kind of see in the circle is, the zone is literally in the center of the zone, so I don't think there's going to be too much of any slow side for a lot of these teams to try to travel to. Is Miro taking a couple of shots, but the team that won off spawn trying to have a much better performance. Mr. Savage and Eyedropper under siege, under pressure. Mr. Savage is going to get dropped for now, trying to pass on the resources to Eyedrop because he knows he's going to have to deal with a lot.
That's Norway on his back here. Eyedrop has to step up. Savage is down. Can he do it? He's been in so many finals with Mr. Savage. His 3rd appearance now in a big setting like this. But of course, the first return to in-person. They're going to allow. Marine might actually allow him to get the pickup. Whoa, that is a huge mistake there.
Yeah, a huge mistake. And honestly, these are one of those things that you take a picture, you record this moment right here. Mr. Savage went down. You give a player like that a second chance at life, they will make you regret it. As they're trying to launch pad away, trying to find some sort of safety. Sticking box to box, hip to hip, landing on a couple more resources as well. This is a perfect spot to land at for Eyedrop and Mr. Savage. That way they can replenish some of the lost resources.
Such a massive find right there. It was looking like it was all over for a moment. But there, they get a little lucky. Smite and Larson at 4 elims now. It seems like as all the action, as all the cooks jumped into the kitchen, they have managed to walk away with a successful meal or 2. They're looking pretty good.
4 elims, like you said. Clown Rep Scar just a little bit above him. We just check a sneak peek at the leaderboard. Cammy and Seti still holding on to first place by 7 to Asia's Marim and Zagu. 151 above for the NA West. 3-time champions, Favs and Snacky, sitting in a good spot, trying to gather the information. But Vidil and Janice are under pressure. With Vidil down, 56 below the damage threshold. Shots from Thomas HD to take down another EU powerhouse.
And in the distance, Japan is just lurking nearby. Asia has performed so well. Remember, Marim and Zagu are in second place as the most recent FNCS champions of the Asia region. Easy and Vino, though, big story in front of them. This is a team that we have expected to come out so far ahead of the competition, as they have had one of the more dominating tracks leading into this, taking home a multitude of Elite Cup finals where the competition, as we know it, is extremely tough. Meanwhile, Smite and Larson, Battle's breaking out above them. They get to steal the loot here. That's a great find.
Yeah, that's a huge find for them. You get to upgrade some of your inventory, get some more heals. The Chrome Splash probably going to be used a little bit later just to get that rotation to come through. For them, they found a huge amount of resources. That way they could try to make it towards the next end game. But you see Storm Surge just still affecting so many teams.
Tough spot for being there for Larson as he misses the heal. And Anas and Pink go down from the high ground. It's Vortex and Hen. They are just turning this lobby upside down right now. Queasy and Vino are back at it again, though, in this end game here, trying to find a position. Now remember, what they did in the last game was exactly this. Half in, half out. They say, hey, we're going to play for high ground. Vortex says, all right, you can have it. Hen says, you can have it. I'm going to low.
Yep, I got to be careful here. Queasy and Vino both know 6th moving zone, which is about to happen here shortly, is one of those zones to where, yeah, you might have the high ground now, but with the amount of launch pads going around, the amount of threats that are in this lobby, you might have to stagger your teammates one forward, one back, just to make sure nobody is able to sneak it away.
Oh, this is looking like a tough situation right now for our champions, Marim and Zagu. Once again, leading into this game, second place. No heals. Very, very peculiar spot to be in. The zone pulls far south as well. Now, they have some mats, but they will absolutely need a refresher right now. Maybe even a gifted launch pad from a team in the distance. All around them are so many healthy players. On the other side, Vino and Queasy starting to eye up the lobby, size up the rest of this game here. Booga finds Marim in the feed. There it is. The full finish is going to start to come through. The first elim for Booga and Miro.
This is where I'm looking at the mini-map right now, seeing where it's actually going to go. There's different elevations. I think whoever is able to grab a side of that mountain first will have the best chances to win this game overall, as they're still 500 above the damage threshold. Cammy, as soon as he lands, he's going to get back up to 200 along with Seti as well.
Kanata's still alive in this game as well. Keep an eye out for him, but Seti and Cammy have to defend their lead right now. 3 elims, what a way to do it so far. Meanwhile, Queasy and Vino are still on hype. This is one of the toughest end zones as well. Flutter Barn has so much varying terrain. You have to be careful. There are indestructible, large stone monuments in between you and your rotate.
But Kanata going down, leaving Macwood as a solo. They at least got 1 elimination, so they don't have to worry too much about damage in terms of Storm Surge. But Booga and Mero, as it does shut off, you saw they were well above it. So changing up their strategy, and it's paying off handedly.
The pacing is incredible. Duels remaining. Things have really taken a turn here for the worse for most. Reed's going to get no resistance. Larson and Smite are making up for where they left off. They may have not earned a huge game 1, but a great game 2. And now Miro and Booga are fighting back.
Yeah, 2 of the big NA West powerhouses going down. They're trying to get another elimination, but Booga and Mero, huge shots going to be fired. But Mero's getting tagged back up. He needs that siphon to go through, but it's still not going to be enough. PH then does go down. Booga trying to be that IGL. He's trying to lead him to greener pastures, but he's running out of resources. Macwood falls. High ground, though. Does Vino and Queasy still have that position onto the high ground of Smart and Lawson? They're not ultimate low, but they found themselves that perfect middle layer.
And you'll notice Booga is now left by himself. KBR finds his teammate Smite and Larson on the ultimate low. Hen and Vortex front side firing back and on height. Vino and Queasy are looking like this is a fairy tale game for EU once again, but we'll see if NA can step up to the damage. Let's see it. Hen is going to be punished and now hunted down. Smite doesn't find the full elim here, but my gosh, already at 6 eliminations. Meanwhile, we jump over. Sensen and Cole still alive here. This is where they do best. Like we said before, it's bread and butter. They know how to stick hit to hip. They have to now. Cole is hurt.
Multiple top placings out of this duo. not wanting to fall short here today, but Cammy and Seti from high ground to low ground. Another end game is going to be achieved. True Lex gets dropped. Smite's going to go ahead and lend that helping hand, trying to steal away all of that loot, but the zone is just immediately chunking him out. 4 HP and a dream for Smite.
And a huge end game right now in front of Smite here as top 5 unlocks before him. Cammy goes down, Seti goes down, and it is all his here. And now he fights back, but the zone does the rest. Great game there, but Vortex is now by himself. What can he do? Cold and Senti now have the high ground. They've turned the story around.
I don't know how they stole it away, but Kito's in solo as well. High ground versus low ground, but it's a 2v2. Scented and Cold versus Vortexers and Hen. This is going to come down to the wire monster, and this is going to come down to Scented and Cold when and where they drop down low.
Once again, we are looking at an NA versus EU finish. Cold is going to get big tagged there by Vortex in the low ground. 7 elims, no builds. It's looking very, very tough, and it's the same story for Hen as well. It's all or nothing. Can they find something here? But Scented and Cold, although they have the height, they are also running extremely low on resources. But if there's a team that can do it, it is them.
Yeah, you see them trying to go back outside of zone, trying to find anything to work with in terms of Hen and Vortex. Scented and Cold, we talked about, it's up to them when and where they drop down low. The game is definitely in their hands. They just have to close it out. EU versus NA East. This one is just a prolonged long game, but the damage is in from Cold.
And this is what we talked about. That wall, there's nothing you can do. It's all or nothing. Down goes Cold. Sensei's hurt too, but they have the angle. They're going to wait this one out just for a little bit and allow the zone to do the rest. Cold finds the one, and Sensei finds the other. And A takes game number 2.
You look at that. The passion, the emotion coming out of Scented and Cold. A team from NA East. Honestly, I don't think they got the right respect coming into this event because of what happened to them last season.
That's right. Cold and Scented have been here before, and now they get a victory in person, on stage, against some of the best we have ever seen. And what a way to do it. EU Game 1, NA Game 2. It looks like the stories are tied.
Right there was perfect because you heard me talking about wanting them to drop down low. I want to see what they're thinking, how they're feeling. Kelly, let us know.
I am joined here by Cold and Scented, and you guys, what an incredible run. You got to tell me, though, how did you take height?
So Queasy and Vino just dropped on our sidewalls, and we insta-edited and just shot them.
I mean, obviously a great strategy, right? But, I mean, that final moment there, how did you know how to take them down? Obviously, you guys were kind of in that high ground, low ground fight. What was the final moment like?
Honestly, Cold called to just drop above him and sit there. I don't know. He did most of it that game. He played really well. He's the GOAT.
All right, man. Well, congratulations. You both are the GOAT now. That is Game 2 VR for you guys. Let's head on back to the desk.
As EU picks up the first game of the FNCS Invitational, NA strikes back and says, nah, not like this. Cold and Scented, really quickly, I do want to touch on this. At the start of the show, we talked about possibly taking your shoes off as a form of being comfortable. Taco, you're right.
It's a legitimate strategy, man. Anybody that has played competitive will tell you the same thing. It matters, but more importantly, what matters even more so is that jump in the leaderboard positionings that we are seeing happen now for Cold and Scented. A 41 placement jump. Granted, have to keep in mind that it's still a little bit of ways to go, but they are now breaking into that top 10.
Gosh, these leaderboards always seem to surprise me because even after this incredible game from Cold and Scented, they're still 34 points behind the leaders in Cammy and Seti, who, shout out to them for holding the lead. But this is just so good from Cold and Scented, and this is the moment that we missed right here. This is the one that Cold was talking about. Queasy and Vino actually make a play, and this is actually classic for them. I've seen them do this in Elite Cups where they try to quickly pinch a duo that is in these builds, and it usually works out very, very well. But Cold and Scented hold on very, very well, as Cold mentioned, making that instant edit, getting the shot in, and ultimately they realize Queasy and Vino were the ones on height, and let's go up and take it. And this right here, it's just all about riding the zone. Now you can see the zone pulling up there, going right through the mountain, and Vortex just had no chance after that. Clean win from Scented and Cold, who, as you can see right there, what we were referring to, Scented, no shoes.
It makes all the difference, man.
It does, apparently, as proven by Scented. We do have Adam, who is standing by. He's hanging out with a player. Adam, who?
That's right, I'm hanging out with everyone right now, in particular Smite and Larson, everyone. Smite, that was an incredible display just then. We saw 7 eliminations. You clutched up, you had to. So how imperative is it in this situation, in this environment as well, that you have to try and gain as many points as possible, even when your teammate goes down?
Oh, it's really important. I mean, like, you need to get as many points as you can. Like, every point matters. Doesn't matter.
Now, you're being contested as well here, Larson. Muzz and Luther, they're looking like they're fighting each time. Are you guys up for this? How are you managing to deal with that when it comes at you?
We're down to fight every game, and I don't care, bro. I'll fight them every game.
You don't care, bro. They'll fight them every game. Give it up for Smite and Larson, everyone! Thanks, boys. And also over here, I'm delighted to be next to Peterbot and Jamper as well. Jamper! It's been I mean, what an experience being here in this situation, this environment. How are you guys dealing with the rest of the regions being here, competing with you in the same lobby?
Our original strategy hasn't been working, so we're going to have to make changes into the next games. But it's very fun playing here. The crowd is amazing, and I'm happy to be here.
And there's still 10 games left, plenty of time to do that.
Yes.
Okay, you got this, you feeling confident? I'm feeling confident for you. The crowd are feeling confident too. Let's hear it from Peterbot and Jamper as we head back to Zeke and the desk.
Thank you so much for that insight coming out of the players. This is kind of what we've been talking about, right? The question has been, once all of these regions finally meet head-to-head on the island, what will happen? Will strategies hold? And the answer for some is no. Because who knew that having to adapt to a meta that is completely different than your own region that you've been playing for several FNCSs now is going to be very difficult.
But if it's anybody that has a strong head on their shoulders, it's going to be Jamper. He's been around for so long, and I love to hear him, like, you know, listen, we did the same strategy in games 1 and 2. It's not working. So let's just switch it up. And I love the fact that they are just able to kind of, you know, have that mentality, but then also have a backup strategy. That's what's really important.
But that's just part of what it means to be part of the 50 of the best duos competing here for the FNCS Invitational title. But not only that, while they might be working on some changes, Cammy and Seti are a duo where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They have been maintaining this first place position throughout the first 2 games, and it's definitely a very strong performance here out of this Polish duo. More importantly, I think that Cammy and Seti have just been able to consistently stay working throughout this mid-low ground element, despite the fact that we've been seeing a lot of high ground takes and a lot of high ground play from the close of the lobby. I think that Seti and Kimmy did a great job just holding on to this underside congestion control.
You know, we talked about it after game 1. It's like, whoa, Kimmy and Seti are on high ground. This right here, this was more so their style, where it's just like, you know, we're paying attention to the high ground changes that are going on, and then all of a sudden we load up the leaderboard and it's like, okay, they had 44 points after game number 1, and now they're at 77. They just got 33 points that game. When did that happen? You know what I mean? Like, they love to play these games where they don't like to show up and show out. They just consistently get those points. A couple elims here and there. They're not popping off the elimination feed, but they're just so consistent. And those are the type of games that are scared because, you know, we saw a great performance out of Gordon Sensitive, but still, even after game number 2, they're still like 30-odd points behind because Cammy and Seti are playing so well.
And it's the competitive experience, I think, that also helps them with understanding, hey, even if I've lost my duo partner in this moment, I can still hold on for moments longer. I think that that was a great display there, that closing kit there for Seti and Cammy, and I think that ultimately they're going to probably just keep trying to stay consistent.
Yeah, I mean, one point we tuned in and they were 500 above Surge. I don't know how that's humanly possible, but for Seti and Cammy, it's just another day at the office. Let's talk about Queasy and Vino there. They did get edited on, right? And listen, we have, as the viewing audience, we have the much larger perspective, right? For them, in this opportunity, this was the only chance they had, and we're going to start to kind of figure out what happened.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, throughout these replays right here, we can maybe catch some insight into why they actually ended up dropping down, because it seemed like they were getting refreshes. I know they specifically got one right at the start of, you know, moving zone number 2. So it looked like they were chilling on mats. And again, right here, as you can see, Queasy actually only 2 builds left. So that was the call. Let's go try to get a refresh real quick. Unfortunately, Cold and Tempted, they're so good in box fight situations, especially Cold. I mean, you know, Scented picked him up just because he is such that well-rounded mechanical player. And Cold and Scented, you know, one thing that I love about them is they're always on the same page, and it's always incredible to see. And right there was one of those situations, unfortunately, for Queasy and Vito. But I love that out of them, right? Going for those plays is what is going to make the difference on the international stage.
As far as the IGLing is concerned, Queasy seems relatively confident still in that decision. 2 times over now, we've seen this duo go for high ground by the time that first moving zone actually comes into play. And maybe 3rd time's the charm here for this duo.
All in all, though, the high ground strategy is working, right? Second place now, only 4 points behind first. So just keep doing their thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like, especially looking at how many eliminations they had, man. 5 eliminations, 5 refreshes, and that wasn't enough to take them through that game. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Cold Incented back on them, 44 points, 6 elimination, currently sitting in that #1 spot. Again, 2,800 damage dealt.
That's my favorite stat.
At game 1, we saw it was 2,200, and I thought that is an astronomical number.
Yeah.
Cold Incented said, hold on, one moment.
So we're going to see, hopefully we keep seeing those stat lines, because as the day progresses, teams are going to get more and more aggressive, which means that this storm threshold is going to progressively go up, which means that teams are going to need to do more and more damage. So hopefully we'll see, maybe we'll break into the 3,000s for an individual team, but yeah, 2,800 damage, that is a lot.
But entering the halftime point, essentially, because heading into game number 3, if there were ever a time to look for a shift in strategy, like what we heard from a couple of duos earlier, I think that Peterbot and Jamber, they had like the right idea. They're like, hey, it's not working out. This is where you would want to make the adjustments, is heading into game 3.
Let's find out. It is time to see who will rise, who will fall, and how they will adjust to these games. This is game number 3 of the FNCS Invitational.
And just like that, we are already gearing up for the next round of action.
Yeah, game number 3 right around the corner, but 2 exciting games. Battle Bus is ready. Not long to wait, because game number 3 starts now.
Now we're moving at my pace. Let's do this. Take a look at your screens. Take a look at these players. Someone here will walk away with it all.
$200,000 for first place. A trophy unlike ever before seen in Fortnite, and a chance to call yourself one of the best in the world of Fortnite, not just your region.
And it looks like we have a very similar bus to the last round. That means these northern contested teams are going to fight first. One of the biggest things we saw from game 2 was that early elimination onto Noah Riley. Edgy quite literally took him out before he can even touch down. And then, of course, there's this battle here, a battle of who can get the best drop. And what a great way to kick things off. Such a powerful loadout to really start things here.
Yeah, and it does look like Baka and Onwin making yet another adjustment. They win the off-spawn fight in game 1. They lose it in game 2. And this time around, they're not even contesting for a fight, but blink and you might have missed it. A first elimination is going to be on to Looter. So Smite and Larson are finding ways to get things done again.
And A fires back first onto OCE here. And a great find, a great reward comes out of the very little time Larson and Smite had to loot up there. Take a look at these loadouts. It all comes together for them now. Sometimes it's all it takes, right? Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of luck. You get the right loot, you're able to take that fight nice and fast and clean it up.
You can see now the picking and choosing comes through. They're going to slow things down, try to loot up as much as possible, making their way in towards one of the only houses towards Grim Gables. And you can kind of see in the distance, Muzz is still floating around, and he's not trying to cause too much commotion and put the focus onto him. He's just trying to wait for Smite and Larson to leave so he can try to get that free reboot onto Looter.
All this pressure onto Muzz's shoulders now as he is trying to wriggle his way through this low ground here. He knows that material is going to be the key to allowing him to do something big here. Achieve the unthinkable, win a 1v2 against Smite and Larson, who built their entire reputation this last chapter off of these early game fights. Smite wants none of that. He walks to the wall. Muzz, you're great, but how good? And no, Smite and Larson come out on top. They clean things up for 2 games in a row now and earn themselves a little bit more.
And as soon as Mr. Savage gives up a little bit of the high ground on when Bach immediately trying to take it over, him and iDrop are separated just a little bit, and that could have been a perfect opportunity for them to strike. But everybody is just biding for time, biding for that perfect moment so that they can pounce. And this one that we talked about, you heard it from Mr. Savage, you heard it from iDrop. I've been landing here for a year straight. No one is going to scare me off.
Well, the real question is, Is iDrop walling out right now? He's getting very close to Onward and Baka. But no, now he decides, all right, I'll listen to you, Savage. I'll come on down, but you have to meet me down here as well. And they start to retreat here. And this might just end, but no, Baka steps up, but Savage is so quick. What a shot right there. And now he turns the tables around. iDrop looking to meet them down here. A great pre-fire, but not enough to find a tag. And all of a sudden, now they reevaluate.
Yeah, I like the outside of the box thinking coming out for a couple of players in the game already, bringing out their protractors, trying to find that extra angle. And that's the thing. If you have all that confidence in your teammate as a solo, you'll allow them to kind of play with the angles, play with the high ground, and try to see what they can get. And they get 149 damage, disappearing off the back of On1. Another shot's going to be fired. Hey, Rob goes down. It's a 1v1. Mr. Savage versus On1.
Savage wants none of it. He wants none of it. He finishes it up. And just like that, 2 games now, he's back in it. Meanwhile, Malibuk and Merstash, one of the greatest duos we expected to show up today, put on such a performance, have been met with so much resistance every single turn. There's a new great team waiting for them. This has been probably their least favorite duo to meet, though.
Yeah,
Chapik and Tayson.
It does look like they're fighting over the vault that is right below him. Doesn't want to let that one go easy. But you got to be careful because there's a third team landing towards Cloudy Condos, another team towards the north in the form of Kanata and Macwood that could be lending that helping hand, trying to get that Storm Surge damage for themselves and make your job that much harder for Malibuk and Mustache. It's all about trying to find the perfect angle, trying to find that information so they can try to catch a player off guard, because we already know they're one of the most aggressive teams in this lobby.
See it. They're waiting, trying to capitalize on any opportunity here. We all know what Tayson is capable of. One of the most winningest players in the European region. He has done it all. He has proven it all. All that's left is for him to show up in person and put the numbers up. But it's no easy task right now. Malibuk and Merstash are so good playing defensively right now. They're doing a great job, but Tayson is slowly, inch by inch, getting closer and closer.
He won't let that piece control go over. Tayson has tried a few times, but you try again. Eventually you'll find some success. They're able to take it just for a few seconds, but the longer you fight this far out of zone, it's going to get more and more dangerous because we got a little bit of a north zone going on. These guys are going to have to end this one sooner than later, even if they both choose to disengage.
Merstash fighting back here, trying to regain the walls here.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Huge tag on Chapik here, nicely done. He's going to open things up, allow him to get some more territory, and closer he walks with Tayson, fights back. The 4X FNCS champion is all of a sudden now with his back against the wall here. But no, he's hurt. Malibuk says, forget that. It takes him down. And now it's up to Merstash. And no, he finishes it off too. And Chapik is left running. Trapped now inside the box. Oxygen starting to run out. He fights back, but for how much longer? Chapik does so much damage. He loses the wall. And no more shield now, and it's all over. Chapik and Tayson fall.
And for Malibuk and Merstash, that is huge. Because not only does it get you elimination points, it gets you the Storm Surge, so you don't have to worry about it later in the game as Chimp and Scram trying to get things going for them. Chimp, one of the most consistent players in NA East. You got Pamsu and Vatch on the other side, also from NA East, so they have a lot of familiarity in terms of fighting against each other. Scram is going to be the odd man out, and you see him trying to find some separation because him and Chimp are not that close together. And all it takes is for both of them to kind of bum rush into one box and kind of end their run.
Now jumping over to the other side of the map. As we all know, this area, one of the most hotly contested zones right now, Tilted Towers, at every single in-person event, has always been the home of fireworks. And Chicho and Trulix are looking to go ahead and see what they can spark up nearby, but that's not going to be anything. On the other side, NA West, cooling Yumi. One of the few teams on NA West showing up in the top 10 so far.
Yeah, had a fantastic game, number one, third place. Cool, got to be living on a prayer right now because for him, he's 1v2'd. Unfortunately enough, he was unable to get Yumi up in that game. He had to finish it off as a solo. And for this duo, it's kind of slow and steady. They land out here towards the island, a little uncontested. They might have one team just a little bit south. For them, it's about getting the resources, looting up, and then they go on the top of the Mighty Monument to find their surge before they eventually try to rotate out.
Robob and Walks now stepping up. They're chasing down Peppo here.
Runa's already gone, too.
Of course, Runa, yeah, way off in the distance
No,
here.
he's gone. He's out. He's watching.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be good. Bob. Forced to kind of in a defensive position. Walks trying to alleviate some of that pressure. Peppo doing all he can. One of the best in his region, but while it does look like it's going to be taken, Walks with a huge shot. Runa and Peppo go down in 45th place.
Tough spot to be in for Runa and Peppo. One of the few representatives for the Asia region have now been taken out. Cold and Sensen on the other side after a hot win there are now positioned up dead center, and it seems like they have done enough. This villain story that we've seen unfold over the weekend, contested in the lead up. Malibu and Mercer are still problems on the horizon. Could it be, of course, Booga and Mira who were looking off and picked them off?
I knew they were going to go on top of the Mighty Monument to try to get the Storm Surge, but great minds think alike. Peterbot and Jamper from NA East beat them to it and took down one of the players from the NA West Championship duo. It's going to leave Cool by himself yet again, but how many 1v2s can you take?
This is Peterbot, though. Put some respect on his name, and he makes it look easy. It's just like that. Jamper and Peterbot earn themselves a huge elimination onto a team inside the top 10. What an Elin.
And for them, you got to think Peterbot and Jamper don't have to worry about Storm Surge in the immediate future. But you know how active this lobby is. They got to start thinking about it later on in the game once they find that rotation.
Well, listen, we have Mini Miner here to update us on more action.
Thank you so much, Monster. Now, this is a prime example as to how to finish a fight quickly, right? We know PHC and Ketos are fighting in the middle of the map. They need to finish this fight quickly, and look at that. Pinching from both angles, getting that Storm Surge done early, as well as bolstering their loot. Look out for this team for the rest of the game.
And that is such a huge set of Elins there, because that's another team that is huge, like honestly showing up for the Brazilian region. PHN and Ketos, man, wait for them to just really show out. You know, the discussion and lead up to this entire event was things are going to be easier. You know, let's not respect these guys. And now all of a sudden they're saying, hold up. No, hold my water. Hold my mini shield. Let me show you what I'm capable of. And I am so impressed by what we have seen so far.
And you're seeing a lot more activity in this game than the previous two, because they're starting to fill each other out. They're realizing how hard it is to get Storm Surge later on in the game, so they're trying to get it as early as possible, so that when they end up in those close zones, they're boxed up, they can pick and choose when they have to peek, instead of Storm Surge saying you have to go or you're going to go back to the lobby.
Vidio, no stranger to victory royales, but falling very much short so far. You saw the standings there, 4 points separating first and second. Yeah. Still a very much competitive competition, but EU has taken big strides to start leading the pack here. Pamsu and Fatch, solid, but let's get on over to Clix and Duke here. They have had such an uphill battle fighting their way out of the Joneses against Pink and Anas, and we've already seen it has not been easy for them.
35, below the damage threshold. For them, they have to worry about it, yes, but it's such a low number. They're just trying to get ahead of a lot of the rest of the teams, so that way they can easily try to look back. And shot still coming in from the high ground. There goes Duke trying to poke a couple of shots. He finds some good damage, but takes some as well. Going to be above the damage threshold, so once again, they can find a way to kind of rotate forward. And I want to see them do that now, because history says when Clix and Duke fall behind the zone, they somehow find a way to kind of not have those good games.
I think the player base tends to forget, the scene tends to forget. Clix has also competed in the World Cup for solos and duos. This is where it all began for him so many years ago. And just look at the difference now. All grown up here at the international stage, still competing at the highest caliber. Remember Reem and Zagu, similar stories. They've been putting in work for a very long time, but look at this. Tough right now. This is the worst we've seen them.
Yeah, we're pretty active in game number one. trying to do it again in game number 2. Game number 3, 164 below the damage threshold. The lucky thing for them is not only are they right at the edge of zone, they have rotation right above them, they have elevation right above them, so they're going to be able to kind of lay their eyes on the land and try to find the shots. But Bevy and Vortex are under siege yet again. Luckily for them, they're 153 above the damage threshold, so they can pick and choose. Do we fight this here? Do we kind of wait a little bit longer? And it looks like they're just going to peek, try to get even more surge, and hunt down these teams as Vortex takes a huge amount of damage.
Vortex versus Vortexers for a second there. Don't be confused. Two very different duos. Kanata and Macwood, though, are alive right now. We've seen them put up some exceptional performances today so far, especially in that game 1. They were the upset to Bugha and Miro. Game 2, not quite where they wanted to be, but this here is a chance at redemption. They find Robab and walk on the edge of zone. Malibuca from the Storm to the new safety of the zone. It's not looking good, though. He has lost his teammate.
Yeah, early games, they were below on damage, not getting too aggressive. And you see the Asian duo taking out Brazil as well. King went down, but that's Jason Basil above Malibuca. Do they know he's weak? That is the biggest thing, because if they know he's a solo and they know he has a total of 86 HP and shield, you know as well as I do, they're probably going to go, but that's information that they lack.
Well, don't yell too loud. Let's go ahead and jump into Bad Sniper and Noah Riley right now. They're starting to eye up the competition on the other side of the wall as well. You can see they're just looking, but hey man, there's something about these extremely healthy builds. You know, no one really wants to fully commit a full mag inside. You have to start deciding for yourself. Are they in a world of trouble? Can I actually do it? And Bad Sniper says, instincts speak louder here. I want to step up. I want to take this fight right now.
He heard Fab's shield get cracked by Storm Surge, and he immediately looked that direction. Bad Sniper and Noah Riley coming out with a vengeance here in game number 3. Right around the corner, though, you got to watch out. Cammy and Seti is there, but back on board this fight where Malibuca is still alive by himself. Jason Basil, they're trying to attack right now, but Malibuca doing a good job trying. He's doing everything that he can. Pressure from so many angles. Is he going to be able to escape?
Let's see it go down. Jason Basil have an incredible win rate in these close game battles in the early zones, and look at that. All of a sudden now they add to it, padding the stat, making it look nice and solid. Clicks and Duke thought about it. They say, no, OCE boys, you got it. I'm getting out of here. And that is so much respect, because they are so far below the surge as well. They could have easily stood there and fight. They need it more than anyone. And as do, oh my gosh, our game leaders, Seti and Cammy, are actually below the surge. This is so bad for them.
They just need to be able to find a position front side of zone, but they think it's the less traveled, but there's so many teams in front of them. 3 directly on the right, 3 directly on the left.
Oh, no.
1 is behind them, and it's hot on their heels. That's Noah Riley, that's Bad Sniper. Huge shot by Cammy, box to box. He's knocking on the door. He wants to finish this one off inside of Storm. Nobody really having HP to kind of regenerate, and Cammy and Seti go down.
And Bad Sniper gets to represent for France. They're taking down our Polish duo alongside Noah Riley as well. Way to do it there. Switzerland has to be happy, but let's jump on over to Rizon, who is, of course, representing for the EU side and Germany. But let's see it. Aqua looks for something. He's got Duke in his sights for Duke. Claps back, and Aqua's hurt. He loses reason, but Aqua manages to find a 2-for-1 special and cleans things up.
Yeah, Duke was getting chunked out by the zone. He had 2 players hot on his heels. It's not the exact position you want to be in, but these guys can show up at any moment in any game. But for them, they're down 3.
And 1 shot, 2 elims, a very rare occurrence.
When you're that good, you're that good.
That is true. Here's an ass pink. We already know. Now, their biggest problems are down. They're out. Kitos and PHN, here they are, looking to continue to hold their position. They're 100 above the surge. They are just around that top 5 position leading into game 3, what is almost the halfway mark of the competition. And Brazil could not be prouder to have them representing here.
You see, jumping on board, Bob Kebab, who's already down. He is out. Chimp's going to be able to get 2 more points in the elimination for himself, including Storm Surge, his walks. He has no shield. He has no HP to regenerate. Just 50 HP total left to his name, and those 2 launch pads. But that's also what worries me, is those 2 launch pads, because he has a far rotation to go, and he's going to have to probably use both of them with short pads in order to get there.
That's right. He's looking to go ahead and make that move. There's nothing in front of him. Meanwhile,
Miro and Booga, decisions for them as well. How do they want to move out? They hear the launch pad go off. They say, hey, let's save ours. Come up here. Let's go ahead and recycle that. Can they find it? There it is. They do get it. And they go in the opposite direction. That is the difference in strategy. Miro and Booga go right. Closest way of least resistance directly to the zone. Wax stood far left.
And that probably would have been the saving grace because he ran into Aqua and Reason, who immediately took him down. His threats is going to fall as well. Pablo gets taken down to Brazil's Quitos. Alex going ahead and taking down TSM Reed. So much action going down around the lobby as Booga and Mero trying to find that sweet spot. Because you know as well as I do, as long as they make it to end zone, those eliminations will naturally present itself.
This is a team that has struggled in the early instances of the chapter this season, but they have managed to find their way into such a great position. But now, let's jump on over to some of the GOATs. Vino and Queasy, two Elans already poising themselves up for an excellent game here. Near max material, so they have to be coming just off of a fresh refresh right there. Quite literally bounce them back in the game. And man, you don't see this very often where it's your drop spot where you start off and the zone just lands directly on top of you. So they are being served up.
Yep. And right now, for an end zone like this, when it is on your drop spot, you already know how to traverse every piece of terrain that is around as Quitos still trying to do wonders. Not a lot of HP on PHN, so these guys down on damage in terms of Storm Surge have to figure out what they're going to do because if they wait too much longer, they will be down. They will be out.
Well, here it is. Luckily for them, the threshold is met, and they do not have to fight, but they know what's in front of them now. They have a huge monumental task to step up here. You can see there, that's a wall that cannot be built there. Here it is. So it's all or nothing now, right? We know the Brazilian region to be one of the most aggressive. PHN is literally tied for third for the most FNCS champions individually in his region and globally. So that's a team that has everything to play for right now. But jumping over to Zagu and Marine, they're still alive right now. Some of Japan's best are here.
Brennan Thomas HD, one of EU's best as well. And honestly, one of the fan favorites to take it all. 296 above the damage threshold. Joe and Z Andy right in front of him. Piece control is going to be important towards this end game because if you go into the wrong box at the wrong time, they're going to take you out, and they're just trying to gather that information. They know they don't have far to go as the shot's going to be fired and landed onto Hen, who's dropped down to about 50 HP. And with that, you see other teams taking notice, and they're also putting that pressure on.
Trippin has full trust in his teammates, but their Elim gets sniped up right there. It's Zagu and Marine who are just coming out and literally reaping the benefits, taking all the spoils. Edgy and Acorn have high ground right now. What in the world? An excellent game. 1 second place finish, leading into game 3 in such dominant position right now.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people last season saying Edgy can do it on NAEs, try to be the 2 region champion. What would you call that here? Would he be the 7 region champion, 8 region champion if he wins this?
I mean, at this point, he's looking to break that second place curse too. He wants to make sure he gets one with Queasy and Vino caught lacking. Don't forget, they were the most stacked duo in this lobby. This is their home position, the drop spot of Shiny Sound, and now all of that luck and hard work, preparation out the window.
Yeah, it was 2 different teams, one from Asia, one from EU. That actually got an elimination each on the team. Ascented and Cold trying to get to that front side of zone. They have that victory royale in the last game. 32 above the damage threshold. Luckily for them, not too many players have to go down before they go ahead and have to not worry about it. Is Aqua, Reason. Not too much to worry about in terms of Storm Surge, but they have to find that sweet spot in zone. They're going to use the launch pad to get there.
When you see Reason and Aqua looking up, you know there's only one thing in front of them. How can we take this high ground? Tripper, no, has a problem in front of him. He gets punished. He backs up. Great defensive maneuvers right now. Okay, and Thomas takes the lead. He says, hey, you go ahead, pause down, heal. I'll continue to tarp out. We have the zone right here. See Andy and Joe, even with a messed up finger, Joe is not going to allow him to stop playing for the big positions right now, and he's got this high ground. It doesn't even look like it's been affecting him at all. Yeah. Look at this, 3 Elans.
He had all the mats to hold on to that high ground with 7 moving zone, even if it's contested. Reason A and Aqua trying to fight for it, but they're going to get stuffed. They're going to get shut down for now, and you can see the pressure from Joe and Z Andy. They're looking towards the backside of zone, and they're putting shots on players who are suffering the Storm Surge.
Oh, he goes for the low pad. Aqua wants to get down to the low ground here. No reason to play for the builds. He doesn't have enough to make it. Is reason behind him is the real question. Meanwhile, another end game for Kitos and PH Sin. They have 4 Elans representing for Brazil right now, and they are almost inching their way to the top 10 right now, but Cold and Scented are right in front of them. This is where they do the most work. This is where they play best.
Yeah, they're just recycling a lot of those builds towards the low ground. Trippin trying to take that cheeky shot to the backside of zone. Elevation up. Thomas HD probably leading the charge, making sure that these guys are on the same page through and through. Booga backside of zone. 2 men miss. He's just trying to go ahead and stagger himself out, and he found an elimination on the Jew. More HP for him, and look at the resources he found.
And it's huge right now. He's managing to fight his way through. He finds another one there in the zone. A huge tag is going to keep him alive right now. And look at him start to sprint here. But no, he's hunted down and taken out back by Thomas HD. And all of a sudden now Thomas has all the extra refreshes here, but he's starting to run out. Is he going to go for low ground, or is he going to continue to hold out here? Reason has a decision to make as well. Off to the side he goes. This player's in front. Cold is down. We saw that exchange. It's a big one.
Yep, he's just trying to stay alive. Reason's doing a good job staying ahead of zone. And now he just has to man-minute stuff to find a way to stabilize. It's Thomas HD. He's trying to stagger himself towards the backside of zone. Running out of sticks onto that man-minute. A huge shot's going to be fired. Thomas HD is trying to stay alive, but he goes down. Zagu from Asia strikes again.
It's just not enough. Zagu says, I am here to play, and put some respect on us. Scented is going to fall to EU Scram. And again, Zagu is now by himself. Chrome Flash comes out. He finds his teammate. Does he get the save? Now this is what you want to see. A big save here in the ultimate low could change the entire story.
This could be huge for Asia. This could be huge for Zagu and Miriam. But Joe and Ciani, they have the high ground.
Oh, no.
He wasn't able to get the revive off. This is going to be huge. He's the only solo left in the world of duos.
Oh no, but he knows that's enemy build. He goes up, the side jump. He has enough. He takes high ground, but no. Ciani's here to back him up. He goes for the falling shot, doesn't quite find it. Chimp and Scram, Healed is going down, and they are having the opportunity here, but no. Chimp does not take advantage. He is now by himself. He has lost his teammate. Can he find a steal of points here? He's looking for it. Zagu jumps to the ultimate low. Chimp's trying to time his exit, and he gets caught out, and down he goes. Andy and Joe now have 8 eliminations and a win set up potentially in front of them.
Yeah, 2v1 situation. EU versus Asia, and for Zagu, this man has the world on his shoulder. Just a sliver of HP, a little bit of shield, and it's not going to be enough. Joe and Andy take game number 3.
EU claps back once again and takes game 3 with the big win finish there. But what a performance for Zagu and Marine to show up. That is an incredible way for them to go ahead and make a statement today.
Yeah, incredible indeed, because it's all about consistency, not necessarily getting a victory royale in every single game. If they can keep this up at this pace, it'll do wonders. But for EU, Joe and Andy, they take the game, and they have all the momentum now.
And this is what I love about in-person events, because they get to take that walk straight to center stage, and we actually get to hear from the competitors. What a treat for us to really dive inside the mind of these players, right? To understand what makes them tick and how they find the success. Kelly, please give us the update.
Joined here by Andy and Joe. Everyone make some noise for our Game 3 winners. So I swear, I was watching the game and I saw Acorn and Edgy had height. I turned around, looked back, and then you guys had it. How were you able to take it?
We just faded up and cleared 90s to the sky limit.
It was absolutely incredible. Not only did you get the VR, but you also walked away with 9 eliminations, I believe. Is aggression a big part of your play style?
Yeah, we want height just spraying down gang kills.
So from now on, are you guys going to be going for height every game, or is it mostly circumstantial?
We'll see.
Yeah, and how are you feeling about the remaining 3 games today?
Feeling good after our game now.
As you should be feeling good. Everyone, one more time, make some noise for these 2 right here. Thank you guys for joining me. Enjoy your break, and we're going to be heading on to the desk.
Joe and Andy, victory royale in game number 3 of the FNCS Invitational. A huge way to show up, and not only the victory royale, but accompanied by 9 eliminations. Tokata, that's what you want to see on this stage.
It's what you love to see, right, Zeke? Those big VRs that boost you up in that leaderboard. I mean, we saw Queasy and Vino dominating the high ground in the first 2 games initially,
But Joe and Ziandi now showing how it's done, not only securing the VR, but also with a good amount of elites.
And you know what's more impressive, right? This is a very, very north zone. These guys land all the way down to the south, down in Synapse Station, just before the zone started closing. It was 5th zone, I believe it was. They had 3 eliminations. They sorted out their Storm Surge early on. They got the materials, and they were able to take high ground so effectively. I like the way they played it too, Takata. They were playing one up front side, one up back side. No one was getting up there.
I love how they've adapted. They were actually originally going to be contested by Baka and on one in the Synapse Station, but now having it on contested, they have to figure out how to get that damage, you know, before the late game and not have to worry too much about those rotations, but they've done it, and it's showing.
Looks so good here, especially to finally be able to kind of, to get those wheels moving, right? To get these players finally in that place where they can say, look, okay, game 1, regardless of what has happened in previous 2 games, we're all ready to go, and we're ready to put numbers on the leaderboard. Let's take a look at said leaderboard and see how things are shaking out. Remember, we have another 3 games left today. We'll be back tomorrow for the last 6. Queasy and Vino now tied with Meram and Zagu. And I just gotta say, the international teams here, Japan, Brazil, y'all are showing up huge.
This is what you love to see from an international event. Queasy and Vino were fan favorites coming in from EU, but now seeing Meram and Zagu tied for that first place spot. Remember, Queasy and Vino, they got knocked out in 6th zone this last match. They had a very strong first 2 games, but this third one was not so strong. But if you want to get that first place spot, you have to stay on top, and that is what the duo from Asia is doing.
Yeah, and things were looking peachy for them, right? They were picking up eliminations, they were looking good, they had the materials to go for their classic high ground take, but unfortunately, it couldn't quite work out for them, right? They were just getting sprayed from all different angles. Maybe it was a positional issue, maybe Queasy might have to take blame for that, but you know what? There's still plenty of games to go.
You gotta hope that they can just make the adjustments, right? It's fine, they're still in first place, right? Even with the situation, they go down in 21st place. In that game, they're still in first overall in the leaderboard. But for right now, why don't we toss it over? Adam is standing by with Vortex. What's he got to say?
Thank you very much, Zeke. Here, actually, Hen was just complimenting me on my. I smell a candy floss or cotton candy kind of smell. I'd love to take credit, but it could be the points you've. How are you feeling after the first 3 games of FNCS?
Not good enough. Obviously, we got 2nd place in the 2nd game, but the 1st and the 3rd game weren't good enough. Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, Vortex, coming into this competition, he says it's not good enough. Do you set real high expectations every game? Do you set certain things you must do on a game-to-game basis each time?
Yeah, we did okay the first 3 games. First game I did a dumb mistake, and yeah, we need to fix it.
Gotcha. And I think when it comes down to this competition as well, playing against the rest of the world, there is a pressure, but there are still 9 games to go.
9 games to go. That sounds like fun.
That sounds like fun indeed. Thanks very much. Massive shout out to Head and Vortex. Let's head back to Zeke on the main stage.
Just kidding, Adam. Surprise for you here. It's actually me, Vivid, on the stage. Shout out to the players. Game number 3 is done. Into the halftime we go. Some of the players will have an opportunity to make some changes, just like Booga and Miro have. As you can see here, some of those early games, the Storm Surge wasn't necessarily looking in their favor, so they're actually going to go ahead and make sure to prioritize some of these tags before they're even fully loaded up. Miro right here has a pistol, and he's still making sure to find those opportunities in that early game. Now, of course, this is something that we love to see out of Booga and Miro. This is something that they usually do. Move just to the north of them, over here at this area, set up on this hill, and find plenty of tags throughout this early game to make sure that they are set on Storm Surge. And they actually sit up here for so long that Hen and Vortex are not even expecting them to still be up there. And they get this nice sneaky beam in here to make sure that their Storm Surge is looking good. And then listen, this is the adjustments I was talking about. Look at this. Booga and Miro sitting all the way back in the storm, knowing that Malabuka and Merstash have been making this late rotate with the balloons as well, to make sure that they get some Storm Surge tags on them as they fly through the air. He does get the knock, ultimately doesn't find the elimination, but the adjustments are being made, and that's what we love to see. Now let's check out what Zeke has for us.
Thank you so much, Vivid, for that breakdown. As we come back to the desk, we have a very special guest joining us here on the analyst desk. It's none other than Cypher PK. You guys can give it up. I mean, we all know Cypher is pretty incredible at everything he does. I mean, you can hear the fans absolutely losing their minds. Cypher, how's it going, man? Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. How are we feeling so far about these games? The first 3 underway, done. We have 3 left. What are your thoughts?
It's been exciting, man. We've seen some crazy changes, right? I mean, we went into it kind of having expectations. We thought, we thought these teams were going to do well. We saw the Queasy and Vino, of course, still doing very, very well. But some of the smaller regions, some of the maybe lesser-known players have turned up today. It's been great to see. We've seen changes in strategy, of course, as well. Some crazy zones that have really put these teams to the test of time.
It's what you love to see, though, right? In an international competition like this, teams from all over the globe popping off, right? I mean, the leaderboard right now, I saw some predictions coming into this tournament, and they did not look like the leaderboard is reflecting currently.
Yeah, that's right. We are back here on the analyst. Sorry about that. I forgot to turn on your mic. That was on me.
It's all good. It's all good.
Welcome. How are you feeling now that everyone can hear you?
I'm feeling great. First Fortnite event since World Cup, and you guys blew it out of the water.
That's awesome. What are you thinking about the competition so far? How are you enjoying the games?
Well, it's great to see some of these players like in a LAN environment, and because there has been one in such a long time, a lot of these players, this is their first ever in-person event. So it's a completely different kind of shock when you're playing in front of a crowd and you hear the cheering and roaring. So some of them are veterans, some of them have LAN experience, and that is going to benefit them, but then the rest are kind of here for the first time.
Yeah. Is there like a duo you feel like you're following? You're like, yo, I'm vibing with this duo, and then maybe one that you're like, yo, these are the ones I think are gonna win.
Well, the duo from Japan, I'm glad to see like a small region pop off on like an international level. So I'm kind of rooting for them.
That's right, dude. Zago and Maram, they are absolutely, like, it's weird, too. They're just running around, and it's like wherever we look, their action, they're just there. Like, they're just like, hey, there's action over there. I want to be there finding eliminations. Who are you hoping to see change things up as we kind of move into the later half of the day?
Well, there's a lot of off-spawn fights happening right now. You got a little bit in Joneses, a little bit in Tilted Towers, and whoever's just on the bad end of that, I want to see some adjustments from them and see if they can like put aside their ego and just make the right play, maybe land somewhere else or change it up. I mean, there's some spots on the map that might still be uncontested, but you're looking for that scrap loot and trying to make it to end game. You might not want to make that change in the middle of the tournament, but it could be beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, you are pretty much known as like one of the guys that can adapt to anything, right? Think back all the days of like, I'm going to build a tower here and I'm going to throw a million traps in here and it's a convenient launch pad. Do you maybe have advice for some of these players? Maybe things you would hope they kind of like consider as we now have that time to kind of collect ourselves?
Okay, so my biggest advice, I mean, as someone who's played some of the pro-ams and in-person events, my biggest regret sometimes is just not going for it. There's like a little bit of like panic, a little bit of nervousness on some of the plays. You got to really just get into that mindset. Like you're playing at home. Like if you can get into that mindset, play very comfortably, like you'll make plays and people will be shocked by it. They won't expect you to make those plays.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite moment that has happened so far? Like anything that stands out like, yo, that moment was wild?
I mean, I've seen some crazy 1v2s, which is, I mean, just think about this lobby right here. Like, we talked about the accolades that these duos have and the amount of FNCS championships. It's insane. I would not want to be playing against these guys. So to do a 1v2, and we've seen a few already, and I think we're going to see a little bit more going on, that's super impressive.
Yeah, I mean, watching a lot of these 1v2s happen, kind of like to what you're saying, it doesn't just happen, right? Like, it's kind of like walking up to professionals of your equal caliber, just be like, I'll just 1v2 you guys in front of a live audience, kind of casually, no big deal.
Look, it's a feeling that's unique, though, especially in an in-person event like this. You hear the crowd cheer when you get that clutch, and it's exciting. But I'm curious, Cypher, we've seen multiple duos from Brazil right now in the top 5, in the top 10, a duo from Asia tied for first place. We've seen a lot, but I want to know, what do you want to see that has not happened yet? Let me know if there's something that you're looking forward to happening.
Well, I guess one thing that I did want to see was some of these smaller regions pop off, and we're seeing that with Brazil and Japan. And I think like some of the less conventional play styles and duos that people don't know about showing up on the main stage and doing really well, like that kind of shakes up the scene, and that's what I wanted to see. And we're seeing it live, and then you're also feeling the crowd react, and they're rooting for some of the underdogs as well, which is great to see. So it's been a blast.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, seeing all these players here together with each other as well, getting to interact, how important do you think that is on a player level? How important do you think it is to, like, have some friends, make some communities, and enjoy it?
I mean, it's so important on a player level, but even just from a competitive standpoint, like, this is esports. Like, competing in front of an audience and, having that pressure on you and still performing and still doing well, that is a true testament to what kind of player you are, in my opinion. If you win online tournaments, that's great, but this is the true test of skill.
Yeah,
Cypher BK, thank you so much for your insight, brother. It's great to have you here in person. Fans, if you see him, make sure you say what's up to Cypher. He's one of the coolest people you'll ever meet in your entire life. The players are currently on a little bit of a break as they collect themselves, so why don't we go hang out with the casters, Monster D-Face and Jacob PR.
Thank you so much, Zeke, there for, of course, introducing us. Now, listen, all that hype about what your favorite moments, I want to talk about what I've loved the most so far. Let's talk about how this script has been flipped way upside down. Not a single person expected, I think, what we've seen today. And for me, the Brazilian region, Ed in the 2v1 situation there on the outside of zone. Wait for him to clutch up. And then PHC and Iquitos coming through, putting up incredible performances so far. What a way for them to represent for the entire Brazil region.
I like how you're going for a region that isn't necessarily the most talked about. No EU, no NA at all, neither one East or West. And I'm going to follow suit. I'm going over to that Asia region. I want to visit Japan one day, and I hopefully get to meet Zagu and Miriam. These guys are lighting up the leaderboard. They are putting on a show, and it's a show that I don't think anybody expected to see. And they put every single competitor on lobby on notice. We are here. We're here to contend. We didn't fly that long just to come home, which is $1,000, 50th place, just for a top 10. They want first.
And not to mention, they are coming off the heels of being the champions of their region. That was a big part of the entire story as to why we began rooting for them from the beginning, because we have never seen such a gathering like this before.
And it's only their second. This is their second finals appearance. That one championship, that was their first time playing together. They have a 100% win rate.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And you guys get to see some of those highlights right there as well. Just coming through, performing, playing these end games, and doing it in a way that not a single person on the internet that I follow expected. I can tell you that.
Nah, and that's exactly what I want to keep seeing, though. And I want to see also the TSM duo, Re and Epic. Well, I need to see them really step it up to the plate and to begin to knock it out of the park. But am I necessarily surprised? Not necessarily, because they do have slow starts, but they have great finishes.
Well, that's right. That's a quick temperature check from us. Let's keep this thing going.
Thank you guys so much. Fantastic insight just all the way around. As you can see, we've got a lot of empty chairs here. Our players, after the first 3 games, have a moment here to collect themselves, go back to the player lounge, talk amongst themselves, potential coaches there, whatever they need to do to kind of recollect and prepare for the last 3 games on the day. Now, earlier, we had a really cool moment. We got to listen in between Bugha and his duo and kind of hear what was going on. Well, guess what? We've collected a few of those for you guys if you might have missed during the game. So check this out.
Nice!
Juvik.
You see clicks in them?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay. I see. Raiding the thing.
They slid. They're running away. I'm gonna go towards them and get some search, okay?
Okay.
Go to the pond and farm.
Come down. That's stupid. And I'm trying 3 more. 1v, think well. One drop.
Have to go up. More HP. Then?
Again.
No!
Unlucky.
Nice try.
Run.
Wait, running in. Getting surge. 48.
Break.
5, 150, 250. What about you? Say it again. Sorry. That's
5, 2, 5.
Okay, awesome.
Come. Come. I have no meds.
Yeah, I have like 2 builds.
Together, come. 3, 2, 1, go. Ready? Let's.
We needed that. Let's go.
If you're looking to get into competitive gaming in any space, comms are vital. Understanding, keeping comms clear, even if you're panicking, don't freak out, don't yell. Just say, hey, this is what I got going. As I throw my pen apparently. I was way too excited. I threw my pen. Guys, I wanted to kind of take a moment here as our players are recollecting themselves. We see a few sort of make their way back on the stage as we prepare for the next set of games. What are maybe a few duos you guys feel like, might be under the radar. I love that our cast just kind of touched on Zago and Maram, right? We've been hyping this duo up from Japan. And for me, I'm thinking to myself, bro, this is just like a team from Japan. If there was more Japan representation at Invitational, I'd be even more concerned.
Look, I don't even know if I like saying under the radar, right? Because this duo, champions of Japan, now tied for first place in one of the first international events we've had in years, right? The first we've had in years. The way they're performing, coming from the Rave Cave, there's another 2 duos surrounding them, so they don't necessarily have a free loop path that's on con. They have to be cautious, they have to be careful, but they've done that every single game and got into the late game, got in their eliminations. They are playing so well.
Yeah, you know what, Vivid earlier on the show, he said he wasn't usually impressed by a duo when he's VOD reviewing. Vivid, I hope you are impressed by these, because oh boy, are they putting on an impressive show right now. These guys, when I first looked at them, right, I was looking at them landing at the north side of Sleepy Sound. Yeah. Vino and Queasy decided, you know what, we're going to take control of this area, and they ran away. They went to the Rave Cave. That's where they're currently dropping. And you know what, at that point, I thought, I'm nervous. I'm nervous for this duo. Are they a little bit nervous? Are they a little bit scared going into this, running away from one of the biggest teams? It's not a bad idea, of course, because seemingly it's working out.
I mean, they are just going absolutely ham. And remember, this is like, in that last game, we saw Maram go down, right? And in that game specifically, Zago actually tried to go for the revive. Yep. In an alternate universe, there's a universe where Maram was revived, and they 100% go on to win that game. So we'll have to keep an eye on this duo. Is there another duo for you guys you feel might be under the radar, like truly under the radar?
Look, I don't want to say just one duo. I want to shout out both Zeke KBR and also Bachatin and Kitos. I mean, they've been playing so well, especially in this most recent game. They're getting to the late game, and not only that, they're getting in with a good amount of elims. If they keep up this consistency, I wouldn't be surprised if they maintain that spot in the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, and the latter there you mentioned, Bachatin and Kitos, those guys are doing really, really good at getting that early aggression off spawn. They're getting their Storm Surge out of the way because, of course, they're landing at a central POI, that sort of red bridge just to the left of that sort of mid-map area. They're doing a really, really good job at getting the Surge. Of course, we had a few questions about that. Maybe there could be third parties coming in, of course, with there being such a central location, but they're answering all of the questions, and oh boy, are they fighting with some prowess. They're fighting with some aggression, and it's good to see. They're not nervous.
Yeah, Storm Surge, we saw it very prevalent in Game 1, right? A lot of these teams coming out and saying, this is a massive issue, and already within 2 games, we're seeing some of this being corrected. What might be a couple of the changes? Like, obviously, a lot of people kind of what we've hinted at is they're just getting aggressive, man. They're just saying, look, if you want to fight at my POI, let's do this. Let's go.
Look, speaking about a change, I want to see what Queasy and Vino do after this halftime, right? They've had 3 games. The first 2 went really well, and then this last one, they ended up getting eliminated a little early. I believe it was Queasy that was the last one standing. Vino got knocked down, and then he went for the revive and got taken out as well. So it might have just been, a little mistake that happens. Mistakes always happen, but it's all about overcoming that, leaving it behind you, adapting, and playing better in the upcoming matches. So I'm curious to see what they change.
Yeah, and of course they've had that break now, right? We don't usually have this in traditional tournaments. We don't usually have this half-time break in between 3 and or the first 3 games, the latter 3 games. So this is something that I'm excited to see. Who's made the most of this time? Who's been really looking at their gameplay? Who's been analyzing? How can we solve the problems that we've had? And it's going to be up to the teams that have used that time most effectively. I think they're going to be the ones that have come out on top.
And I hope some of them have even taken this time and just said, like, let's just calm our nerves down. Like, as incredible it is to have an audience just lose their mind when elimination goes out or a victory all happens, we just need to contain ourselves. Even if something goes wrong, we're eliminated off spawn, it's not the end of the world. Just calm the nerves. Right, these are 100 of the best duos that all 7 regions have, right? So if they lose an off-spawn fight, it doesn't mean they're a bad duo. Doesn't mean they're not capable of winning the competition. They just had one off-spawn bad fight, and they need to correct it.
Right, I mean, if you're going to have a bad off-spawn fight, or even a bad match, the best time to have that bad match is right before the break, right? Because you get the time to stay calm, stay collected, refresh your mind, get a bit of water, get hydrated, get some food in you, and continue playing.
Of course, and things can change so quickly as well. We saw a very, very north zone in that previous game, all the way up to Shiny Sound, and it wasn't necessarily the zone that we would have expected a team that landed all the way on the south, Joe and Ziandi, to do well in. But it just shows things can change, and it's about the teams that are most adaptable to those changes that are going to be able to find the success. I'm impressed so far with all these high ground plays because a lot of these teams, they are high ground teams, particularly on some of the regions that we haven't talked about so much. Those guys, they know how to play high, so nobody's safe.
That's right, man. All these duos are back at it. Just look as we've kind of taken moments to just visit with each duo. You can tell the focus is there. A lot of them are ready to get back at it. What are you guys hoping to see changes for these next 3 games?
Look, we've seen a lot of victory royales come from the clouds, right? From up above. I want to see people down in the dirt, fighting back and showing what they're made of, right? Getting those elims on the teams up above and, you know, getting a VR from it.
You know who I think can do that? Ami and Seti, right? We saw it in game number 1. They won on high ground, right? Which is very uncharacteristic for this duo. We're usually seeing them playing their materials, riding just on that edge of surge and just trying to keep their materials going throughout that end game with some refreshes, but they play very, very calmly, if you like, which is something that could be really, really useful for them. I was thinking, like, you know, they won game 1. Of all the teams that you want to win game 1, for the other players, you don't want it to be Cami and Seti because they can play so consistently, and I'm expecting to see more of that from them. Hopefully this halftime break, let's give them some time just to chill. It's like, hang on a sec, we won game 1 on height. Like, what's this? This is so alien to us.
I think what's interesting, too, is I've seen a couple duos now. It's like, hey, you look over, they got like 5 elims, but they still don't have what it takes, right? They're out of ammo. They have no heals. They have no builds. Why is that? If we're capable of finding 5 eliminations on a stage like this, at calibers like this, what are we lacking?
There's so many types of engagements that you can encounter during a match, right? It could be early game engagements that staggered out and lasted a long time. We have Merstash and Malibuca going against Tayson and Chapix. I mean, those 2 duos alone are literally titans of their own region, and having them go head to head, those engagements can last a little while, and if it takes a long time to finish an engagement, you lose a lot of materials, you lose resources, you lose shields, and even if you end up coming out on top from that engagement, you've already used everything, and it's difficult to come back from that.
And of course, I mean, look at the lobby, right? Let's just take a look at it because everyone in this lobby is incredible. They're not going up against the likes of me and you. They're going up against some solid players, and they're proving.
Yeah, I'm a walking 50 shield refresh. Don't even worry about me.
I can back.
We do have Adam Kelly standing by, friends. Over to you.
That's what I want to hear, everyone. Thank you so much, Desk, and thank you guys for hanging out with us. We wanted to make sure that our players had a break between games 3 and 4, get some food, get some drinks, and now they are ready to go.
All right, we have got ourselves a game 4 imminently, but we need the entire world right now to hear us, North Carolina. Let us hear you make some noise! Let them hear you in Japan, in Sweden, let them hear you in Mars! We are here!
We are ready, everyone. Let's go to game number 4.
Now that's what we like to see. Let's go ahead and just pick things up and get right to it. Game 4 is underway. The players are already landed off the battle bus. If you were walking around, take a seat because it's time to get into the action.
And it's already looking like Kanata trying to get busy. Taking down Vortexers for the first elimination of the game. Ascented trying to put shots on into the distance. It does look like Cole got a knock onto Pars. The angles and the pressure is already coming out. These guys have been battling all weekend long for that contested drop spot in the middle islands. And with Pars dropping, Raze has the world of pressure on his shoulder in this game.
And it's so crazy because we didn't think they were going to be able to do it. Get past this, what feels like crazy hurdle. Being contested on an in-person event should honestly cross you out of the equation here, but not for these competitors. They don't let that little inconvenience stop them. If anything, they weaponize it. They've turned it into surge tags. They've turned it into great standings. Even Sagu and Marine here from Team Alba representing for their entire region at the Rave Cave.
Yep, this is huge. You got Thomas, HD, and Tripper, and Commandment and Avery all landing towards the Rave Cave. Luckily enough, this is one of the biggest POIs with a ton of loot to go around. And you're kind of seeing not too many early game fights going down over there. Kitos and PH Zin trying to have that early game that they want, because for them, they've been doing so consistent lately out of this drop spot. Not too much contesting going by. And for their Storm Surge, they have so many players around them so they can gather it.
Now what's crazy is that the story of Brazil is W key, but not for them. They've made all their points through placement. They actually have some of the lowest eliminations overall. When you stand them against the others inside the top 5, they're actually at the lower spectrum. But Vico and Marine here starting to get into some dangerous territory. You can see the reality tree is no free position by any means. You have Retake and crew up above, Z, Andy, and Joe, who have just taken home a huge
moment and win for themselves are now poised up at the sign-out station just south of Boogamiro.
Yeah, and right now, even though they have uncontested drop, it almost makes me wonder